It's time to turn your great idea into a reality with Squarespace. That's right, Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch your passion project, whether you're showcasing your work or selling products of any kind. That's right, of any kind. Squarespace has beautiful templates and the ability to customize just about anything. You can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. But hey, if you do get stuck, Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer support. They're always there to help you out whenever you need it, whatever you need. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com, offer code BOMBCAST for 10% off.
You want a new drink?
I do.
One
yeah.
that won't make you sick?
Well, I've got 4 cases of this stuff at home, and I'm looking at it going, I don't know, man. I got to switch stuff up. I'm kind of getting burnt out on this. I've had a lot of these. A lot.
Help me out.
What?
One that won't...
One that make you feel 3 feet thick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel 3 feet thick.
That happens sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you got to change it up. You got to go on cycles of the energy
Seriously.
drinks. You got to
And
cycle off of that shit and get into...
I always find my way back to Old Faithful, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is.
It's home base. You
Yeah,
need a good go-to.
It is. I've gone to grape.
Okay.
I've gone to tea and back again.
Yeah. The teas don't really do it for me.
No.
It's just tea's just gross. Iced tea. I'm just not.
That's why you got to Yerb up.
I know.
Yerb up.
This Yerba mate stuff is a scam.
I'm in the Yerb zone.
so too.
It
No.
fucks you up. I drank one this morning.
I worked at a coffee shop and we just had straight up yerba sometimes. I felt like I was having an out of body experience.
Okay, yeah.
What?
If it was just some we got some of this
it's-
raw uncut shit, but I'm talking this stuff
Right.
that you're buying in cans.
Yeah, we just...
No, it's like
Yerbin over here.
160 milligrams.
That's
You were
never-
drinking
it's
it
never
from
done anything
gourds,
for me.
though.
Yeah.
All right, what
There you go.
Yeah.
You drink it out of a human
what the hell's
skull.
yerba?
I
don't know what...
Mate is a fucked up tea that comes from
Twisted tea.
somewhere in Central or South America, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know its exact
All the good
origin
stuff does.
or
Is
species.
it single origin?
What?
Go on.
It's fucked up tea that it's
How is it fucked up?
it's
just tea.
just really potent. It's got I don't know. Help me out here, Jan.
So with normal tea, you're supposed to just steep it for like a minute or two. Yerba is just like there, and it's just
Whoa.
constantly going.
Constantly going.
With hot water,
Are
you're
you
taking out the
constantly going afterwards? Tea's like
you
a
crash
diuretic,
really
right?
bad. You crash really bad after yerba.
Hell
in
yeah.
personal experience.
That's why I like to have a nice, black tea when I'm coming down. That kind of helps. It's like
Oh, yeah,
instead of
okay.
it,
You mix an upper
crash,
with your downer. That's...
Yeah.
Well,
just a little
no,
bump
yeah.
before bedtime.
It's just a little
Gotta stay
more
level.
upper. You don't mix the upper and the downers. You just go up, and then up, and then up. And then you're asleep. And it's great. And life's fine, and everything's okay.
You wake up in a cold sweat and do it all over again.
Or a hot sweat.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Oh man.
This is like the speedball of teas. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's I don't like the sugar. I don't like the fruity yerba mates. I like the unsweetened. I feel like I get more out of it. I don't come to it. I don't come to an energy drink for it to taste good. I come to an energy drink for it to make me survive.
Tasting good is a nice side effect.
It's a nice side
With
effect.
as many as I drink, it's like I would like it to taste very good.
Yeah.
But I got to a point where
'Cause none of them work on
I
me. I
liked
don't
the
know.
taste of Red Bull, and
Same.
people tell me it tastes bad, and I'm like, no,
I like the taste of sugar-free Red Bull.
that's disgusting. You've crossed a line.
That's just pure chemicals.
Yeah. No, I don't that's the reason I stopped drinking Red Bull is because I don't drink. I mostly drink 0-calorie energy drinks now.
Yeah.
And sugar-free Red Bull
that
is like an ass, but a bad one.
I like badass.
Yeah, so it's badass.
No, nope. Mm-mm.
I'm sugar-free Red Bull and I'm badass.
I'm badass.
No, but not in a good way. Not bad meaning good, but bad meaning bad.
I'm here to give you energy and have calories, and I'm all out of calories.
Has anybody just developed vapable caffeine yet?
Like that has to be.
yes.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck yeah.
A friend of mine at one point, I believe, tried to vape Red Bull. I don't remember what happened though.
Like the Thai Red Bull, like the concentrate, put that in your rig and just
hope for the best.
Blast some
that juice that Rory has. Yeah, just dip in there.
Yeah,
refill your e-cig.
I have a bottle of Thai Red Bull at home that somebody sent in a mailbag at the old office.
Oh man!
So it's at least 7 years old.
That's probably
good.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with it.
Better.
I don't know what to do with it.
I'll drink it.
Yeah, I
have to find it.
I wonder if it can't go bad. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Use it as a cologne.
It couldn't possibly go bad.
Yeah, just dab a little around the
I don't know.
pressure points.
Maybe we just need to bring back Red Bull and vodka. I feel like it got a bad rap
it
there.
Did get a
we need
bad
to truly,
rap.
if you want to truly speedball.
That was my first
like a low-rent
California
speedball.
extreme experience was Red Bull and vodka.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And Goldschlager later, and that was less
that
was less great.
Yeah, that seems less great. But hey, you want to get that high score on Star Castle, kid? It ain't gonna happen naturally.
That's right.
Pound these Red Bull vodkas and let's fucking go.
I feel like nostalgia for the early 2000s is on the cusp, so bringing back Red Bull and vodka.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean,
a good time.
Zima is back on shelves.
Yeah, Zima's back in a big way.
Like we're playing Luminous again. We're listening to Britney Spears again. It's all coming together.
I mean, my worst Red Bull and vodka experience happened when I came back from the PSP launch in Japan. So I guess like that all squares up. Shit.
What?
Shit.
Why was it so bad?
I had two reasons. One, I was fresh off a plane and jet lagged and weird.
Okay.
Two, I had too many of them.
On the plane?
No, that was the night
in the parking lot.
That was the night of that bad holiday party, the last GameSpot holiday party.
Oh, the fluid one?
The one when they said we can't have any more of these because of what happened here.
I just realized that place being called Fluid is extremely appropriate for that evening.
No, it was this you should have brought your galoshes for that night. God, it's disgusting.
You can make anything a bathroom.
That was bad.
Yeah, no, they did. There was a fondue thing.
Oh.
Now I'm more confused.
Yeah. Anyway,
fondue is a type of dip. Basically, you get like bread or meat.
you get a fountain that just shoots it out, and then people can just run stuff through the fountain.
Does the chocolate fountain recycle the chocolate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It loops through over and over again.
It's not an endless loop of.
But if you had like a bowl of chocolate or something, that's the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
but you don't know what people are sticking in there.
No, you don't. I mean, I do, but
That's true with any food, though.
right.
Yeah, but it's
Like any kind of communal thing.
You go to a buffet and you're rolling the dice.
Yeah, any kind of punch bowl situation. And
There was
something about circulating it around.
Yeah, or just like any kind, but any kind of like, hey, here we've got a bunch of sealed cans of a drink, and you're like, okay, great, I can get a cold drink, and then next to it, what's that? A big fucking bowl of ice, and then some empty cups. Like, what's happened in that big bowl of ice? Are people using their hands to get this ice? They probably are.
Yep.
Maybe.
When I was like 7
The
or
alcohol
8.
kills it. Don't worry. about
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. When I was 7 or 8, there was a Chinese buffet by my house that had a punch fountain. It was like, a fountain that you could,
Cool.
And I frequented that place. I loved that punch fountain. It was like the crowning thing to go to that buffet for was that punch fountain. And one time I was walking over to get some, and there was a really old man there who put his hand in with the cup, took a sip, said and poured it back into the fountain.
Delicious.
And
Waste not, want not.
Yeah.
I was down at Lee's.
I never drank that again.
A few months ago or something like that, and I watched this homeless guy come in and just like with a black bag, like a trash bag, start reaching into the chicken and putting it in his bag.
Wow.
Just hands.
That's
like, he didn't even
brazen.
use utensils.
Oh.
And then just walk out.
Wow. Huh.
And I didn't eat there that day.
Yeah. Or ever again.
That's so close, though.
Yeah.
And that's why it was months ago.
Yeah.
Lee's is a special experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. I used to eat there a lot.
Yeah.
And I never liked it, but
No,
I was no longer hungry.
They've got this Cubano there that's just fucking banging.
It's just reliably mediocre.
Yeah, it's like, I need food. This is close enough.
Yeah.
Now that Subway's gone. Shit.
Yeah.
I ain't walking those extra like 2-3 blocks to the other Subway. You
Nope.
kidding me?
Nope.
That other Subway's trash.
Yeah.
It's like half the
As
size.
opposed to the good one.
Yeah, the good
where
one.
you could safely hang out and whack it.
Yeah, exactly.
A nice cranking it Subway.
They are gutting that space.
You see
Yeah.
the
which is probably for the best after what occurred there.
the guy that was smoking meth on Bart like all weekend, he finally got caught.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Welcome to the Bay Area.
Live your best
everybody.
life.
It's
Oh, he was.
Yeah,
He was.
totally.
He was.
He was on the move and on the move.
to be fair, like people write in all the time saying like, "Wow, you guys make San Francisco sound like hell on earth." But I think
It
that's
is.
but I think that's
It
just
is.
but that's also just kind of cities. Like when you
Yeah.
cram this many people into the smallest space, a lot of ugly
Yeah.
stuff is bound to come out.
Like,
I've
is
been
it-
in other cities.
Yeah, San Francisco is maybe a special brand, or it's got its own unique
Yes.
scent or its
Sure.
own unique flavor.
piss.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Piss.
no, because you know what?
Yerba.
Because Los Angeles has the fucking market cornered on piss.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like the last
I don't
2
know.
years of us walking around that area for E3 and stuff, like it is the most piss streets,
yeah.
highest piss.
I've
Well,
You
they-
should try
they-
walking
they-
from
there's
Bart
the-
to,
Okay, yeah.
to the office.
Also, I guess I don't ride BART.
There's
so.
the extra problem of the stagnant air and the heat
Oh yeah,
in LA that
that's
really
true.
just brings out the bouquet.
it's nice. Yeah.
Sometimes I like to think about what San Francisco would smell like if we weren't right next to the bay,
Oh man.
and I choke. I
Mm.
gag.
Hey, remember that time there was poop all over the sidewalk, Ben, that we both encountered?
Yeah, we both stepped in the same and like
Wow.
okay. You know, you
That's
say
solidarity.
pile of poop and you think like the poop emoji. You think of like like a dog poop.
Yeah.
This
Smiling
was
at you.
a lake.
Ah.
This was because somebody like took a hose and didn't
Oh,
clean
yeah.
it,
Oh no.
but just kind of like sprayed
sprayed
it
it
around,
around.
a little bit.
Did you step in it?
I guess I did. That was the day. That was the day. I think I sat down and
yeah.
I think it was you, Brad, that said.
No, it was me.
or
It was
It was
Jason.
Jason that asked if I stepped in poop
Oh man.
because it was.
I couldn't
still
deal
on
with
my
it.
shoe.
Normally, I'd be able to sit down for the 40 minutes or whatever, but it was pungent.
Where was this?
Second and Mission.
and
No, I mean
Mission.
where here was this discussion too? Was that in the
Oh, it was in
studio?
the
Yeah, right
studio,
before
yeah.
like a quick
Great.
look.
Cool.
He washed it off. He went to the bathroom, and we just started a little later.
Yeah, I think
It's
the
you know I've got
damage
the
is-
extra couple inches. I can't smell
I
it
think
up
the
there.
Right,
Damage
right,
the
right.
damage
difference.
is done at that point. You remember that time Mike Tatum came into the office and just threw away his
out.
shoes?
Yes. Right.
Like he just walked in one day. He was like, "I just stepped in shit. Like I just stepped in
Like
human poop."
Yeah.
And he just took shoes off and threw them in the trash.
It's a real baller move.
Yeah, dude. Fuck.
Uh,
I'm over here like an idiot scrubbing them in the bathroom with
Yeah.
paper towels.
Could have just thrown it out.
Oh, man.
anyway.
Yeah.
Hello. Video
Hi.
games.
Hi.
What are you playing?
What am I playing? Shit, man.
You wanna talk about Tempest?
Yeah, Tempest 4000 is out now.
Tempest 4K?
Is it twice
it
the
will
game
run
of
in
the old
4K on appropriate hardware. Yes.
What's Tempest?
Okay. It was an old vector game from the early 80s.
Okay.
You control a little guy around the edge of a tube.
Yeah, would
So
you
it's
call
like
it a tube shooter?
Yeah, it
Alright.
is the tube shooters, the first tube shooter.
Are there
I
actually
guess.
any more of them?
Sure, there was a
Yeah.
H2 Overdrive, that game that had the Crystal Method soundtrack. That was kind of one of those.
Would you argue that... Oh, God. Shit, I totally forgot. I just had the name of it. It slipped out of my mind. Gyrus?
Gyrus.
Gyrus
Yeah,
is kind of a
is
tube
kind
shooter.
of a tube shooter,
Right?
yes.
Even though it doesn't look like it.
Right, it doesn't.
It looks like, say, Galaga.
Yeah.
It's Galaga, but
you
in
go
a
like
tube.
this.
You're around the edges,
Okay.
shooting into a
Yeah.
tube.
You know what my favorite tube shooter is?
Let's hear it.
Tubing. You
Yeah,
shoot those cans.
yeah. You kind of
man.
throw the cans, and you don't really shoot them at the. You're not shooting the
Yeah.
tubes.
You're shooting from a tube,
You're shooting from a tube.
which is
So
the
the
tube
tube
sounds like in
shooter.
Tempest. You're
Okay,
shooting
no.
from a tube as
I thought
well.
about
It's
tube.
a
No.
variation on the formula, but
You're
I mean,
sitting at the edge of a tube. You're sitting on the outer lip, basically.
Should we-
And enemies come up from the bottom, meaning the back part of the
Right.
screen, because you're kind of staring into the tube. And they come up at you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get on the lip, that's bad for you, because then they start going around the lip where you are, and then they can kill you.
Okay.
They also shoot. You should avoid the shots
Yeah.
and spikes. You should avoid spikes. And so you go around the edge and shoot a bunch of shit. There are power-ups. Originally, there was no power-up. There was just a smart bomb button you could hit in case a bunch of shit got on that outer lip. You're like, oh, fuck this. You could hit it
You get
and
like
kill
two of
them all.
those.
Yeah. So you do know exactly what Tempest is.
I know what old arcade games
Okay.
with a bomb
Yeah.
are.
And so this is that
I was going to say.
with some power-ups.
What makes this
So
different?
Tempest 2000 came out of the Jaguar,
Mhm.
and it was kind of like the only Jaguar game in a lot of ways. And
You didn't like fight for life?
no, No.
so much.
No, not so much.
AVP.
Trevor
No,
McFur.
No.
I'm not going to fight for the Jaguar. Just go ahead.
Nope.
They
Yeah,
made,
no.
they made a game called Trevor McFur.
And in Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy, I think is the full.
Yep, that's it.
Anyway,
That's the guy.
That's made up.
Tempest 2000 is a, like one of those, hey, let's take this old game and remix it for today's youth. And by
Put
today's, I
dubstep
mean,
in it?
yeah, no, it put the dubstep of its day in it, which was an Amiga style mod.
Okay.
That
Sure.
had a lot of,
Some good tracking.
go, like voice sound effects and stuff, and break beats. And Tempest 2000 was very popular. And then it got remade for PlayStation as Tempest 3000 or Tempest X3, whatever it was.
Okay.
Then maybe Tempest 3000 came out on the Nuon, I believe. There was a Nuon Tempest game for the Nuon. The Nuon was the DVD player format. It was it was a DVD player.
Yes.
It was something where they were like,
I didn't know they had a format name for that.
yeah, so it was like a DVD player. It was like any DVD player could
Yeah,
license
they
the
didn't,
Nuon technology.
there
and
was
then
not
play games.
there was not a Nuon. It was like maybe
Yeah,
Pioneer
well,
made a Nuon.
There was basically a Nuon.
but the idea
'cause it
is like
didn't catch
it
on,
would
but-
be a Samsung Nuon or a
Yeah,
it was like
the
a
same
3DO.
way. Yeah, the same way
Yeah.
multiple manufacturers could make a 3DO.
Yeah.
The idea was like, hey, you're a DVD manufacturer. Why don't you spend a little bit of extra money and put some game shit in your DVD player?
You want to play some Dragon's Lair?
And Tempest came out for that, along with a Mario Kart clone that had Bentley Bear from Crystal Castles in it.
Oh, that guy.
Anyway, Tempest 4000 is a lot like Tempest 2000, like in that they're billing it as features a 90s retro techno inspired techno retro 90s soundtrack.
Okay.
And you listen to it and you're like, that's just the Tempest 2000 music.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
you just you just put that in there. It's not
That's retro though.
right. It's not 100% the same game. It uses some tilt control stuff that I think is really bad.
What are you playing it on?
PlayStation 4.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say tilt controls?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, right.
What?
Well, for
still a
so
thing
it'll have
sometimes.
like a warp bonus stage.
Is it required?
That, as far as I could tell, the only way to control it between stages, you would kind of, it would be like, hey, stay in the center for an extra bonus,
Right.
and you'd have to tilt the controller a certain way to get it
Okay.
in the center.
I guess that doesn't sound so bad.
I couldn't get it to work.
Oh. Okay, that
So
sounds bad.
So it was pretty bad. I would call it pretty bad.
That's not what you want
don't
in
know,
a
like-
precision score-based arcade game.
It felt very mushy
like,
and
it's
like
screwy
hard
motion
to line
controls.
up. It didn't feel good. And yeah, it's kind of Tempest
Tempest.
2000 over again. And I could look at it and go like, oh, that's cool. They want $30 for it though, and it seems like a lot for what you get. It's only 20 on only 20 on PC, which is also kind of silly.
For a Jaguar, for an upscale Jaguar game?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's it's got like slightly, or I guess I would have to go back track for track, but I did go back and play some Tempest 2000 over the weekend, and
You just have a Jaguar at the ready.
you do what you need to do
sure.
in these situations, and it turns out I need to have a Jaguar around.
Understandable.
And just to check and make sure, like, that's that exact same music, right? And like, sure enough, yeah. And so they've got that music, but then also kind of like slightly redone versions of that music also. So
They're
but it's-
dubstep now.
That famous music.
no, it's not.
Why don't they put dubstep in Tempest, man?
I know.
It's the perfect
It's
dubstep.
because dubstep is over.
And Tempest is here to stay.
That's right. Tempest is eternal. Yeah, it's I don't know.
I was really hoping they'd do like sort of a Pac-Man CE like treatment to this. Or
Yeah,
something,
I
but-
thought this would be more.
I feel like that's kind of what Tempest 2000 was in a way, though.
yeah,
you know,
true,
And,
but like,
yeah, it doesn't feel like different enough for me to really want to play too much more of it.
yeah, sounds like it.
Like I'll happily support whatever Jeff Minter does, I guess, in some way.
And yeah, he was behind it too. So it's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, they
shit,
brought him on.
I expected more.
And I want, yeah, exactly. It feels like something that it feels less like, oh, here's something Jeff Minter made, and feels more like something, hey, here's what the current incarnation of Atari paid Jeff Minter to make.
Well,
and they didn't give him very much.
Here's something Jeff Minter made 25 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't seem like he's working on other stuff.
Yeah.
There's a Minotaur, like he's got like a VR version of Grid Runner up and running that I'm pretty excited to see.
Dude, like if he more or less exclusively became a VR developer, that would be very exciting.
of all the developers in the world, I feel like it's Tetsuya Mizuguchi and Jeff Minter are the two that I would be like, yes, no, VR was for them.
As much of a weird, inscrutable thing as Polybius is, it's one of the coolest things I've played in like genuinely cool in VR.
Yeah,
it's totally.
So I don't know, and also that's another thing where you look at it and go, man, if they had made Tempest VR, that would be neat.
That seems crazy that this doesn't have like PSVR support, or just any VR support.
Right. It seems so. I guess the whole thing just seems like a weird budget project in a way. Not that I'm like expecting some dramatic, huge thing out of a Tempest re-release, but at the same time, this just doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm with Jason. Like finding out that it's kind of just a re-release is a big disappointment. Although maybe that makes the 4000 name more telling because it kind of is just that game in 4K.
Yeah, I guess so.
Speaking of throwbacks, did you play any Danger Zone 2?
No.
We sat down.
Yeah, I watched.
Ben watched me play.
I watched the quick look.
I watched you play a
and
third of Danger Zone.
I played a fair amount. I haven't, unfortunately, had time to play it since the quick look. So I don't know what the bonus section is, but the 3 main sections of levels are pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
it's better.
The crash mode in Burnout, is something that I only really appreciated as part of a larger game. So a game that is just that, even done better than Danger Zone 1, which was not a great game.
Yeah.
Even that done better only holds a certain amount of appeal. Like I probably will check it out at some point, but I'm not like out here going, I gotta play it. Instead, I've been thinking about Burnout Crash, which was that top-down pinball sound effect, weird crash mode thing.
It was pretty fun.
That people were very up in arms about when it was announced.
I remember Alex Ward showing that to us at EA.
Yeah.
Like he'd say, here's the new Burnout game. And we're like, what is this?
Okay. That came to iPad, I think, at one point, didn't it?
It's almost more of a puzzly kind of game. Yeah.
But that's crash mode.
Sure.
It's more of a puzzle mode. Yes. So, but it was even abstracting that a little further into making it this top-down kind of deal. I don't know. I've been thinking about that for whatever reason. I kind of want to try to dig that out and look at it. But I don't know. Danger Zone, that style of crash mode, I think it's cool that there are probably some people that really want that because there are people that are just fanatical about crash mode, and hopefully it scratches the itch for them. But I only really think I want it in the context of a full, proper driving game.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I had more fun with this than the first one, but I also started realizing that it may scratch that itch for some people, but I have a slightly different itch.
Yeah.
Sounds really weird. Like we were talking about that the insurance fraud minigame in Saints Row.
Yeah.
Like I want something more like that.
Yeah.
Like
that's more like the Showtime mode in Burnout Paradise then. Like that's a little more
Burnout
open
Paradise
world.
is clearly the best Burnout game if it did that. But I just want something where you can kind of just go. Like the levels are so short in this,
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's meant to be just like almost a little run-based thing.
It
is. Like, hey, figure out this puzzle, solve this puzzle. You got 3 stars, move on to the next one.
But they've added such a preamble to each crash. Like, there's a good minute to 3 minutes of driving before you get to the part where you try to set up a big crash, and it just takes just enough time to reiterate that cycle over and over that you kind of I just kind of want to
Burnout was kind of that
cause
too.
a lot of destruction.
The
without
time
interruption.
The time between runs in Burnout's crash mode was too much.
A little too much, yeah. I want a little more just kind of mayhem, but I don't know. They've got another game coming out this year, so maybe it'll all come together.
And that one is looking more like it'll be a kind of closed track, non-open world Burnout-esque driving game. Yeah. So,
like looking at the credits, I mean, it's still like 7 people or something.
Right.
It's pretty small, but I just like this thing.
It's still an amount of money.
Well, I mean, it's. Just feels, I think I said in the quick look, kind of lifeless. Like there's no music. The menus are really ugly
the font is like standard like Arial. It's
like it has no style to it.
That sounds like a Steam early access release.
I want a little more kind of pizzazz out of a game about fucking wrecking semis.
And not even that,
into
it
boats.
was somewhat unreadable at points. Like against the background, the white font was just really hard to parse. Unpolished.
So that's a problem. Like I guess. It's a weird thing to complain about, like that the menu, but like that is a part of a package.
And when the package is only offering those menus and this one game mode,
I could very easily see, especially like a small team with like the credentials they have, going like, no, we're about gameplay first.
Totally.
Like we're just gonna get it out there. The gameplay will be good, and everything else will fall behind that.
Yeah.
But like,
maybe they don't have a budget for a designer.
Or music,
but,
at some point you got to license that music or make it yourself, and that takes time and money, and the reality of it in this day and age is you probably get most people that are going to look at a lot of games as, here's a thing, I'm going to put on some different music or a podcast or whatever anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess I could see why, as a business, you might come to that conclusion, but also it's a weird omission.
I want it to be a celebration of the joy of fucking up a bunch of cars.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
In wanton and ridiculous ways.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe they are just light on like UI designers over there.
Yeah, I would believe it.
Yeah.
Who else played? What else?
Clicker Heroes 2.
Oh God, I saw that was coming out. Did that come out?
Came out yesterday in early access.
Oh man,
the sequel to Clicker Heroes.
Man.
Oh no,
it's a very different thing.
You don't click anymore.
You can click.
You can click.
You are allowed to click,
boy.
but every click takes 1 energy, and if you have no energy, you can't click.
No more clicking.
You got to wait for your energy to recharge. So maybe you have abilities that make your energy recharge faster. But there's also an auto attack, all other stuff. So they have taken a very different approach to making this style or selling this type of game than just about everything else on the market these days. Clicker Heroes 2 is $30, and that's it.
And that's it.
There's no. They're saying, hey, that's all in. There's no gem store. There's no additional transactions.
So they made a video game.
They made a video game.
Huh.
Whereas Clicker Heroes 1, they eventually got into the rubies, and you earn the rubies and spend those on thing, or you can buy rubies and start using money to make the numbers go higher.
Wasn't it initially literally free? Like, it wasn't even free to play, right?
Right.
I thought the first Clicker Heroes release was just free with no microtransactions.
And then,
if I remember,
as they continued to build on it,
eventually they monetized
rolled
it.
a thing
If I remember, at release, there was no way for them to make money on it.
At release, it ran in a web browser,
well, that's right,
and that
yeah.
was it. It was kind of like that and Cookie Clicker. I feel like were the two that kind of set this thing into motion in a bigger way. They certainly weren't the first games of their type, but I feel like those two are responsible for. Well, they're responsible for my problem.
What was the totally like text-based browser one?
There've been a bunch. There's Trimps.
There was
recently,
like the one Candy something.
Oh yeah, Candy. Was that Candy Clicker? Was that what it's called?
Something like
no,
that.
it was like Candy Quest. But it was all the ASCII art.
Yeah, yeah, it was all ASCII art.
Oh,
yeah, that's a fantastic.
That thing was amazing.
Like that's a funny thing.
That thing was incredible.
The sequel was a little too much.
Yeah.
So they're charging for this, but they still have the stamina aspect.
Well, so it's not a stamina thing. Think of it as like a meter, like mana. Think of it as like it literally looks like Diablo globes.
Right.
And so part of it is you figuring out how to manage your resources to click effectively.
Okay.
And because at first you're like, man, what the fuck? Like I can't.
Yeah, that sounds like the limitations that you pay your way around in other like free to play games.
So instead, this is more like every time you buy a new piece of gear, you could buy a piece of gear that has plus 25 energy to it, so your cap is raised. One of the early abilities you get is to recover energy at double rate for 60 seconds. And so you play like that for a while, and around the time I was like, I will say, I think Clicker Heroes 2 is a little thin right now. It's in beta, like this is their first release, and they've even said like, hey, your progress is going to get wiped at some point while it's in beta. Like once we're past this stage,
are they like storing your progress server side or something? They must be.
Well, saves won't be compatible. They'll make I assume they'll make a more dramatic change to the game, and it won't make sense for your progress to carry over. Anyway, so you eventually unlock something called the Automator, and it's basically like a little if this then that type deal, or it's more of a you have 2 things you can slot into one of your Automator slots, and it's a trigger, like how often something triggers. Like so, it'll be like a 4-second trigger. Every 4 seconds is going to do this, and then you have a gem that represents either one of your skills, or later on it's like, oh, I want you every 4 seconds buy the cheapest upgrade. Or every 4 seconds use this ability.
That sounds fucking cool.
And so you're almost building this logic thing, because then you get like another one that's 10-second cooldown, another one that's 40-second cooldown.
It's a programmable clicker.
Exactly,
man.
And so it's
almost like you're not even playing a video game.
Yeah.
Well,
but you're playing the playing of the video game.
But then it becomes like some of these factory simulator things of just like, can you build the most efficient machine?
Yeah, that sounds actually super cool.
To outsmart the clicking, and like I'm still at this middle ground where like because there's a skill tree, so you're unlocking skill points and then choosing what to unlock, and that can give you different things for the automator, or it can give you, additional skills like active skills or passive skills and stuff like that. And so you kind of have to choose how you evolve as you go. And that part seems interesting. The catch, though, is that like basically, you've got like remember how you would get heroes? You would be like, oh, I want to buy this hero and then level up this hero. Instead, it's like you have gear slots, so it'll be like a sword, a helmet, boots, whatever. Each one adds on a bunch of damage, and each one works in a cycle. And when you get to the last one, it just like the next unlock is then going to be an upgraded version of the first one. So you're just kind of moving through those gear slots in order over and over again, and they all reset to level 1 every time you upgrade them. So you get each item up to about level 100 with the amount of money you get coming in versus the amount of damage they do and all this other stuff, and then you upgrade to the next one, and then you're resetting them back to level 1 and doing it again. And so there's not enough of a feeling of accomplishment or progression from the leveling up process. It feels very flat. And yeah, I don't know. Like it has a nice look to it. Some of the changes I look at and go like, oh, I see why. If you were setting out to make a clicker that you were not going to then charge additional money for, I see why you would make these sorts of decisions, and that seems smart. But then there's just not enough to it in a weird way, which is like a weird thing to say about an idle game.
Like yet, so have they provided like a roadmap
exactly.
or anything?
So I don't
like,
know. Yet, I think is where they're at with it.
Right.
I haven't really looked too much into what their future plans are, other than they are definitely saying like, hey, this game is not done by any stretch.
All right.
This is just our first playable that we're putting out there for people who want to like get a look at it.
That sounds really interesting. I want to check that out.
Yeah, it's neat. It doesn't seem like you make any progress when the app's not running, which leads to like a progress quest feeling of like, should I leave this running while I go to sleep?
I think maybe I'll wait.
That's why I don't play
last night.
Someday I'm gonna reload Clicker Heroes just to see how much pops.
Yeah.
I've
got.
It's never
been
enough.
like a year and a half.
Trust me, it's never enough.
Yeah.
If you're not actively prestiging all the time and getting multipliers up so you get more. Like
it plateaus at some point.
Yeah, you're just wasting time.
That sounds like that breaks that whole concept if it doesn't actually do stuff when you close it. Because you want to automate it, you want to optimize everything, and then go to bed and like close. I mean, you could leave the game running, but you know what I mean.
I don't want to leave the game running.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But
it should work when it's closed because you want to like wind it up and let it go.
Yeah, or maybe they're functionally trying to make something dramatically different from like that type of paradigm, and maybe they'll find some other way to do this, which is potentially exciting. Also,
yeah, it sounds like a good start.
Yeah. Also, I can imagine if you're buying in for $30 and you can beat it by like going to bed a couple nights and progressing through, a third of the game.
Sure.
The skill tree appears to be very long. And yeah, I don't know. There's some interesting looking stuff in that skill tree in terms of just like what it says about how you might be playing this game in 10 hours or what you might be doing to optimize your automator stuff and all that. Like
I will never understand clickers. I've tried every one that's like good, and I just
sometimes shit in your life gets bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes the world gets on top of you. People get sick. Things happen. It's a fucking bad time, and you just need a thing to stare at while shit is bad. And that is a suitable replacement for Twitter.
Okay. Can I replace Dota?
Yes.
Yeah.
And should.
Yeah, because the numbers don't go down. You never lose. Though there is a permadeath option you can toggle on in this.
Interesting.
That I don't know what
it cuts off your finger when you lose.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't actually know what that means because there's no health meter or anything like that. I guess you could fail a stage, but it's.
Have you played Space Plan?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I got like halfway through.
I feel like Space Plan is the clicker for people who don't like clickers because the writing is decent and there's a story to it.
But
I'm gonna actually say that an initial candy one is
that one's also
probably actually the one.
That one is.
I think the furthest I probably gotten one was Cookie Clicker, like way back in the day.
I'm sorry, I keep looking at this piece of paper in front of you.
What
is that a page of notes about Octopath Traveler?
Yes, it is.
I understand you're deeply into Octopath Traveler.
Yeah. I've been having a good time with it.
Read your notes verbatim.
Shape of world, combat, talk about, path actions, look, Phoenix Wright, Pokemon, steal, visuals equal good.
Steal like the movie?
No, steal like the thief action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I downloaded Octopath Friday whenever we talked.
Yeah.
Friday morning-ish, and I played a lot of it this weekend. I would say I'm probably 15 or so hours in. It's really cool. I talked about the demo last week, I believe.
Yep.
So, I covered like the basics at that point, but this game has really opened up in a way that the demo is both a really good picture of what the demo is a really good picture of what your first 15 hours of that game are going to be, first 12-ish hours of that game is going to be, because you spend the first, so this is a game where there's 8 choosable heroes at the beginning. You can, starting with Ophelia. It's cute. They do a thing where they spell out the word Octopath, all their names in a circle, and it kind of lends itself to this cool design where the world, as it opens up at the beginning, is kind of this ring with a lake or in the middle or some kind of bay, and the characters are kind of evenly distributed out around this ring, and you choose one to start with. And that's your main character. That person's going to be with you throughout the entire thing. They don't have any sort of unique. Nothing makes them like a protagonist. You follow their story as if you would if you pick them up as their 5th or 6th character, but they're like the one that says, let's fight them when you get into battle, or they're your first one in your little path. And their first objective is on the opposite side of the world. So you kind of end up, through virtue of traveling around this world, you make a whole party of 4 characters, and then you get to the other side and can do their thing. And all those characters' things are on the opposite side of the world.
So it's not 8 separate stories. Like eventually you're going to run into these other characters.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It is both 8 separate stories and also an intertwined thing. So it kind of spirals out as you play, and the world starts to get bigger, and you realize there's more to this little ring of a world. There's like continents that branch off of everything. And I mean, it's just
walk me through the the hunter style character. I started playing as her.
Yeah, she was my first 2.
There's a little bit too much thee and thou in her vocabulary.
Drawest thou bow thine wicked beast.
Ridiculous.
And
the entire town talks like that. And I'm like, I might need to
I thought the
re-roll.
whole game was going to be that. I got a little worried.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's good to know that it's not everybody else.
No,
okay,
it's funny. I actually read a story that so there's people trying to fan translate it in places like China that don't have an official release, and they're like having to learn Shakespearean English to understand what her character is talking about on her
funny
quest.
But she seems really cool, like at her abilities.
Yeah,
and stuff. She's a Pokemon trainer, right?
Yeah. So the thing that makes this game really unique is the path actions that every character has. So there's kind of only 4. There's 2 characters that kind of have the same type of ability each. So you can kind of build a team with that complements each other and stuff like that. So hers is she can trap enemy monsters. And you will see, so basically the combat system, you can break enemies by hitting them with their weakness. And at that point, you'll do critical damage whenever you hit them, and they drop out of the battle rotation. And so hers is if you break an enemy monster, you can capture it and use it in future fights for a limited number of uses. It shows up, there's a sub-menu that shows how many times you can summon a monster. It shows their attack type. So all these monsters will have different attack types or elemental abilities that they can use.
I keep thinking like Gao from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah,
like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit like that, but more like more limited in a regard where you're kind of always trying to refresh your roster.
Okay.
I think it's gorgeous.
It's got the really 16 bits, with the tilt shift, the soft focus stuff. It's a good looking game.
And they do some really cool stuff.
Special effects are really nice.
Where they play with visuals where it's like a path will be obstructed by foreground, but if you move, you start to kind of, the perspective shifts and you kind of start to see like, there's a little side path over here. I can go get a treasure chest or something. The path actions like relate back. So Haint, who's the hunter who I started with, she has that pet summoning thing, and you can also use it in towns where if somebody's like blocking a door, you can actually call upon your monsters and whip their ass, and they knock out, and you can go in there and steal the treasure or whatever. But then there's also ones like there's a merchant you get later.
If you come back to that town, like with a different character, say the thief or something like that, and he's the first one in your party, would you still be able to use that skill?
Well, if you have Haint in your party,
right? Yes. And then you
so it's basically whoever's in your active party, you have access to those 4 skills. So one will be like, I can buy items from random NPCs, and so there's like a merchant, and you can buy that. Every character will just have like some healing items or some really rare equipment and stuff, and you can just buy it from them.
I like the idea of just like walking around going like, "Hey, I'm a merchant. So let me buy some shit off you. What do you got? What do you got?"
And sometimes the dialogue reflects that because like all the NPCs will say something like sometimes they'll say like "pleasure doing business with you," or like you must really need that, I guess. Just kind of like, what do you do? I guess I'll sell you this plum. Like,
how much for the children? What do we
right. Oh, I see you have that necklace. Be ashamed. And then you could, there's a character who will steal them. There's a character who's basically Phoenix Wright, who in his quest line you have to like provoke people and get their information out of them, and so they'll like tell you secrets about the town or stuff. It'll open up like. There's more weapons for sale because he told you a secret about the armorer, or you can stay at the inn for free now because this other person has dirt about the innkeeper.
Interesting.
And so you're kind of the really interesting thing about this game is everyone I've talked to who has played it has had different experiences with it because it's so fluid, because it's so open, where you can pick any character and you don't have to go around and just pick your characters. You can be like, okay, I want to start with the soldier looking dude, but then I want to go halfway across the world and get the cleric lady because I think she'd complement him really well. And then you go back this way. But that leads me to my main problem with the game where, there's a big trope with a lot of RPGs where it's like, the protagonist is the chosen one who has to save the world and blah, blah, blah. And that can be a little repetitive and boring. But since this game doesn't have a protagonist, you're finding these stories that don't ever really connect, at least so far. But I've heard this as a complaint from people who have finished the game, that it's kind of just 8 people who happen to run into each other who are all doing their own thing, but for some reason that is never really expressly explained, they're all helping each other.
Right.
And it's like, why is this thief helping this princess who's helping this dancer who's helping this knight?
There's no through line.
Not so far. And, each character has 4 chapters to their story. The first chapter is like finding the character and beating a boss with them. And then it opens up from there. And I've only completed the first chapter with every character. So I don't know if as you progress, there starts to be kind of one through line. But so far,
I hope so.
It feels a little scattered.
Huh.
And
I keep going back to like Final Fantasy VI and like some of how those characters intertwined, Locke and Celis and
dude, the side
stuff was
the second half of Final Fantasy VI is so fucking cool, and like it was so weirdly divisive back then. Like some people hate it.
The like other world.
The fact that like after the world ends, you
got to reform
I think
your party.
you can beat the game with like 4? You can only get like 4 of the party members back, and then if you're strong enough, you can just go beat the game at that point. Like, that was like weirdly forward-thinking, nonlinear design for that era. Like you just roam the world, like finding your old people.
Oh yeah,
they've all, because you've been unconscious for like a year or something. Like they've
they've
all like moved on and like tried to adapt to this apocalypse,
and
so you find them in whatever circumstances they're in and get them back in the fold.
Yeah. I would like an element of that or something to kind of make these characters feel more like a team.
Yeah,
because
in that case, there was still a like common enemy that everybody needed to unite against. So
this is like one example, the dancer character. It's like, okay, my father was murdered by a strange masked man who had a crow tattoo. So her path is going to be finding out information about this guy. The first boss is her rebelling against her captive, basically, like the dude who's like her owner or whatever, her pimp or whatever you want to call it. And then she gets a piece of information that leads her to the next thing. But none of these other characters have anything to do with that crow guy, at least at this point. Who knows? I wonder if you can complete the game without getting characters, because there's nothing stopping. Once you get a character, it shows you where their next quest line is going to be. So I wonder in that regard. Otherwise, the game, the other kind of minor problem I have with the game is the dungeon design. The level and dungeon design is a little uninspired. It's very old school.
I read some other reviews talking about that stuff, and that sounded damning to me.
It's like, it's like an old RPG where it's like there is the main path and then all these little side paths that lead you to a treasure chest, and that's it. There's no kind of like puzzle mechanics or. They look pretty.
Yeah. And some of the reviews I read said it's just like every chapter is just that. Like talk to people in a town and go do another one of those exact same dungeons.
So you have to be okay with that. It is very much... They iterate on the idea of a JRPG in a lot of ways with the combat. Like, it almost becomes a puzzle game, right? Because you see the combat order at the top for this and the next turn. And you have let's say there's 5 enemies on screen. They each have a different number of times you need to hit their weakness to break them. And so you can see like when in the order they're coming up, it's like, okay, the big guy's coming up and I have like 4 actions. I got to hit his weakness 5 times. So, these 3 characters need to do this action. You kind of like can plan out your turns in advance a little bit. And so that's really cool. It doesn't feel like I'm just mashing and attack. I am really thinking about the terms. Because this is a really fucking hard game, too. It escalates very quickly. Once you start to get a party together, it becomes really challenging. I haven't wiped yet, but I've had to stay alert, even in just open world fights with random encounter enemies, let alone bosses. Bosses can take you... I've heard, some of the Chapter 2 boss fights are taking people 45 minutes just to get through. So you have to be ready to commit to management. So it's definitely for me one of those backgrounds, like I'm watching TV and or movies while I play this, but I still think it's great. I think the music's great. I think it's visually stunning.
So are you saying you can like start one character story, do a chapter, and then move on and pick somebody else up and then go back?
Yeah, in fact, that's what you're not encouraged to do.
You're not locked into one person's story?
No, but you are locked into just that whatever first character you choose, that character is going to be in your party.
Okay, it sounds like it's broken up piecemeal in a way that you could like, do a chapter now and then wait a week and then do another chapter. Like,
totally.
That sounds good.
And the pacing's a little weird at the beginning because it's like, you get a character... it's like 30 minutes of cutscenes with a little bit of like combat in between, and then you spend 15 minutes going to the next town and it's the same thing. So it kind of feels like a lot early on. I found myself skipping some of the less appealing character stuff, some of the more boring and like some of the characters have really cool arcs, like, oh, I want to go be a pirate, or oh, I want to go do that. And sometimes it's just like, I am a disgraced knight, and my king died under my watch, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of mashing through it. And there's a little journal that kind of gives you basically a TLDR of the character's story if you want to skip through. It even asks you, like, do you want to hear this character's backstory when you first meet him? And you can just be like, no, I don't care.
No, come with us. Whatever you need done, we'll do it on the way.
You got a big sword. You will be valuable to us.
Just running an Uber pool.
Exactly. It is reduced rates, and it maybe takes a little longer to get to your destination, but it's going to be worth it in the end, trust me. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to keep powering through. I've heard... numerous reports of how many hours it takes to beat this game. I'm looking forward to a long, grindy RPG because I haven't played one of those in a while. And I forgot how... God, maybe I would like a clicker.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Do you want to hear that character's backstory? No. No, you do not.
Do I want to attack and see numbers happen?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Fuck.
Numbers definitely happen.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Numbers with scientific notation are popping off enemies when I click on them.
Wow. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm in. All right. That sounds cool.
Yeah. Keep me in the loop on the through line if it does kind of converge at some point. Because hearing it right now, it's like, okay, you're playing as the thief. You go through a couple chapters, you pick up somebody else, and now all of a sudden you're doing their storyline for a while, and it just feels completely disjointed from what you had been doing. I don't know how.
Do you think you could just play through one character's story start to finish, or does it ramp up difficulty-wise in such a way that you would need to go level up on the other chapters first?
I believe it does because so when you complete the first storyline, it'll show you where on the world map your second objective is, and it will also give you a level recommendation, and it's usually like 20 levels higher than you are at that point.
Yeah.
So it seems like if you really wanted to just grind, maybe you could do it. But the way that you fight enemies and the way that you have to exploit different weaknesses, and that's the thing. Like even the common enemies. So like let's say you're in a desert area and there's scorpions as kind of like a fodder enemy. There will be like 3 types of scorpions that each have their own weakness, and so you kind of need to explore and exploit them with your party. And there's like abilities you can use to suss out weaknesses and stuff. So there's a lot of trial by error where when you first encounter an enemy, you're using your whole party's like full extent of their weaponry and magic and stuff to try and figure out what's good.
And that stuff's consistent, right? So like if I encounter a scorpion and know its weakness,
like Scorpion
next time
B,
I fight it, it's always going to be...
There's a little tray of like symbols under them that all start as question marks, but as you start to hit them with your weakness.
I already know Scorpion's weakness.
What is it?
Have to like block that teleport punch and then uppercut him.
Okay.
While he bounces off of it.
All right. Then I will play Octopath Traveler.
All right, there you go.
You can also rip out his rib cage. That's a big one.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
He's got plenty of them.
Yeah.
There's more where that
he'll never need them all.
That's right. All right. Let's take a quick break and come right back.
I was going to ask you to tell me your dreams, but I'm tired of talking about dreams.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about that.
No, I want to hear about realities.
I don't know about that either.
Look, it's time to turn your realities...
Gotta face the facts.
...into realities. Yeah.
Tell me more.
All right, take your dreams,
Okay.
actualize,
Hang on.
realize...
Let me go to sleep.
Okay, all right. Now, what are you thinking about? There's like a truck. There's like a dog in a truck.
It's like gumdrops.
You're thinking about gumdrops. You're thinking about photos of gumdrops. You're thinking about actual gumdrops.
There's a giraffe here.
Okay, all right. Giraffe-shaped gumdrops. Okay, now wake up.
I'm in a fighter jet. What?
All right.
Oh.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build you a website that you can use to sell giraffe-shaped gumdrops.
Flying fighter jets.
Flying fighter jets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's
This is
time.
an idea whose time has come.
Exactly. We're going to make that dream a reality, and we're going to use Squarespace.
Put it online.
Uh-huh. Going to put this online because Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch that passion project, regardless of what it is. If it's your gumdrop giraffe jets, or if you're starting some other new business, or showcasing your work, publishing content, selling products, whatever, Squarespace has the tools.
Tools. Are they sharp?
Oh, they're the sharpest tools in the shed, baby. These beautiful templates have been created by world-class designers. They've got the ability to customize just about anything you want with a few clicks, and you can easily make a beautiful website all by your lonesome.
I want it to be pretty.
Then you can do it. You can make it pretty. And you can sell, because Squarespace has powerful e-commerce functionality.
Whoa.
That's right. You can sell anything online. Anything.
Gumdrops in the mail?
Yes. Mail order gumdrops.
Giraffe-flavored gumdrops.
They taste just like a giraffe. But without all that giraffe in them. It's giraffe-free. It's cruelty-free gumdrops.
Fair trade.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Organic. Analytics will help grow your site in real time. You can look at the numbers. These organic farm-to-table numbers can be yours for the taking.
Get the big data.
Exactly. That big data is optimized for mobile right out of the box. There's nothing to patch or upgrade. It's all on the server end. You make it pretty.
Yeah.
And then it happens.
And then it goes to the mobile.
That's right.
Everybody has mobile.
Everyone has mobile. Buying domains is simple. You get the help you need because Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer support.
Squarespace.pizza.
I think that's a weird site to sell gumdrops, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
All right.
Squarespace empowers millions of people: designers, lawyers, artists, players, restaurants, gyms.
Whoa.
That's right. They'll turn great ideas into something real.
All walks of life.
All walks of life. You can check out squarespace.com for a free trial right now. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com, and the offer code is BOMBCAST. You'll get 10% off.
Who's excited to talk about 2 whole news stories?
Yeah. Yes.
One of which I don't even know if qualifies as a news story.
Everybody.
Yeah.
No.
Not a lot going on this week. It's the summer. It's a gross humid.
Well, we'll probably get some stuff
out
this
there.
week because Comic-Con is starting.
Oh, is it this week?
It's I think it's tomorrow. I think it's this week.
We should go.
But this is like,
let's go.
I heard this is the worst Comic-Con in years because there's like nothing. Marvel doesn't have anything. Disney or Star Wars doesn't have anything. People are like, the big Comic-Con movie is Aquaman. That's the biggest thing at Comic-Con.
And Riverdale season 3, Ben.
Oh my god!
Come on.
Yeah.
Think about
Okay,
what
well,
Jughead and
I don't want to think
Archie
about Jughead.
and-
You guys
Think
caught
about
up on
Betty.
Riverdale?
I've only seen season 1.
I've
Really?
seen half of season 1.
2 goes places.
Oh.
Holy shit!
I bought a digest at the grocery store
Yeah.
last week, so I'm
Nice.
pretty much up to date.
He's a werewolf now.
Yeah,
Crazy.
of course.
Yeah.
He's dead, dude. That's not funny. Archie's dead.
Sorry. Is he undead?
I don't know.
Probably.
He died saving. Does anyone remember when Archie died? I remember when Archie died.
Yeah, Bane broke his back, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened?
He threw him in a hole.
Who would win, Archie or Goku in a fight?
It depends how much prep time does Archie have.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 hours. 10 days.
Does Archie have his
Archie.
army of red folk?
What?
He's got a gang in season 2.
10 days. I mean, would Archie have access to the hyperbolic time chamber or no?
No.
That's cheating because 10 days becomes 10 years.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's okay. Then
He's got a
then
gang
forget
of
it.
vigilantes. Fucking Archie.
Now we got to go check out season 2.
Oh,
Maybe I should watch Riverdale. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
good.
It
It's
sounds terrible, but
in
also
the
sounds like
best way.
something that I kind of want to see
It's terrible in the best way.
in a really bad way.
It
sounds like total shit, but
they
amazing
understand.
total shit.
they understand. Yeah.
How about Goku versus Archie
Oh.
Bunker?
Archie Bunker.
No,
Got
jeez,
that.
yeah, Archie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put up with Goku's bullshit.
Yeah, totally.
No.
You
Archie
tell him to get
Bunker-
a haircut.
He would tell him to get a haircut. You'd hear a toilet flush. He would say something racist, and Goku would be just be like,
And then half the audience would misunderstand the subtext.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. Let's read what news there is. Here's a feel-good story.
Yes.
In an industry and a world sorely lacking in those.
You're lying, aren't you?
There's a new Mario.
Epic made a pretty cool announcement last week about
okay.
the Unreal Assets Store, which is that they are throwing out the kind of de facto revenue split across pretty much every digital service in existence is 70-30.
Yeah,
30 to the platform holder.
That's how much I make and Jeff makes. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. No, you got a 30% cut.
Yep.
Of whatever Jason brings in.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta pay up to you gotta pay your tribute.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Pay up the
that's-
ladder.
That's definitely
That's how it
works.
goes. He's a good earner.
And then I, in turn, have to give,
Yeah.
30% to somebody else.
To the
and
capo.
it just eventually rolls up, and Les Moonves gets his.
He gets his taste.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Does he ever? So the Unreal Asset Store business model is basically, they make Unreal Engine, developers make games with it, and people can make like assets to put on there, or also just like plugins and middleware type stuff, right?
Yeah.
That developers can buy and put in the games they make with Unreal Engine. They are revising that revenue split so that the creators get 88% of the revenue, and Epic only gets 12%.
Damn.
And perhaps most amazingly, they are backdating all of this.
Yeah.
So they are going back and paying out the back pay that would have been generated from that split all the way back to the beginning of the asset store 4 years ago.
That's
So-
months. That's like for some studios. That's like months of like salary.
Yeah,
essentially.
that's
great.
not insignificant.
Well,
if
yeah,
you've
like,
sold a lot.
I guess I haven't really looked
of-
and seen what sort of stuff is available and who makes it and stuff like that. Like, this isn't like any licensee shipping a game is going to get this different cut. It's like people making
it's people
middleware.
making stuff on the asset store.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
that then other developers can buy or
Yeah.
whatever, whether it's like tools or whatever.
So who knows what volume of business we're
So I
actually
saw
talking
some
about
people
here?
going like, "Oh man, they just gave PUBG a ton of money." It's like, no,
that's
not what this
That's not
is.
at all what we're talking about.
Uh,
But if anything, the people that are making things on the asset store are probably generally pretty small time, either like individual artists or programmers,
I
or
would-
very small like tech house type.
that'd be my assumption, but I guess I
So like
haven't
people who would even more stand to benefit from
Right.
extra from a better split is what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
So obviously PUBG is doing fine. Trying to find the numbers here.
But yeah, Epic's making a lot of money. They're
they
like,
s-
okay, hey, we could. But seriously, yeah, as
They-
like if I was like a small time developer, that was making assets, that would really make me want to go to that platform.
Yeah, obviously it's also a business play to get more people doing that stuff. But I'm trying to find the numbers. They say there have been 8 million downloads of products from the asset store since 2014, with 1 million of those being free assets. So they basically have sold 7 million transactions. So it's not nothing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they flat out said, "Hey, it's because we're making so much money on Fortnite. Yeah. We can afford to do this and still make a decent amount of money."
That's the great part of them just like sliding like, we got it.
We can afford it.
It's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Season 5 just started. There's go-karts now.
I thought you were going to say Goku, and I was getting really excited.
Give it 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You can drift.
You can drift.
You can do like the Mario Kart.
You get like sparks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I saw Donald Mustard tweeting about Fortnite season, I guess, 1 through 4.
Oh, yeah.
Up to now, I mean, and he was sort of like running down all the stuff they had done, and it made me realize, like, they really have added a lot to that game in a short period of time.
They definitely do work. I'm keeping it fresh.
Yeah. Also, I'd still think of Donald Mustard as the guy making Spy Jinx. And the guy who made Shadow Complex. So then I reminded, he also runs the biggest game in the world.
Yeah, he's like creative director of all of Epic, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
I think of him as the guy who murdered Professor Plum.
He got away with it, though.
It's true.
Yeah, I thought it was
They wouldn't convict him anyway. They'd be like, Fortnite's so popular, or whatever.
We're season 6, damn it.
Yeah.
Donald Mustard with the foam gun in the underground complex.
Yeah.
It's impossible to find an impartial jury of 9 people who didn't play Fortnite.
It's like they just want to give the same verdict so they can all stand up and do a dance in unison. And
I wonder if this trickles down to anything else. I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're all mostly big publicly held companies that would never do something like this willingly.
Yeah.
But talking about like the iOS, like the App Store.
Well, I mean that's different because that's sales of end.
Totally, yeah.
Products
This is a
users,
different.
like
This is almost more
developer,
of a D2D relationship.
Yeah. Now you're talking. So this would be more like, would Unity ever make this change?
Yeah. It's not
for the Unity store. I don't know what their cut is. I assume.
It's apples to oranges on the business model.
Oh, Apple's doing it. Wow.
And intent, but
I didn't think Orange would do it,
but it is still a big break with.
It's hard to compare the two.
Yeah, you're right. Pretty different.
A break from the norm in favor of the little guy, so that's cool.
Yeah,
it's rare to see this kind of trickle down stuff.
Yeah, it's neat.
So I have a.
You're saying trickle down? What, it works?
D2D? No, it can totally.
I have a question. So with we see Blizzard and BattleNet getting like Call of Duty and Destiny on their platform, and we see a lot of other people who have their own launcher trying to get more people to get that launcher. With Epic, they have the most popular game in the world, and because of that, millions of people now have this Epic launcher. Do they have any? Would it be in their business interest to try and do what Blizzard is doing and get more games to come to their launcher, or at that point does it not matter because so many people already have it?
Well, the thing about the Blizzard launcher is that even Call of Duty and Destiny are technically owned by or not owned, but they're published by the same company.
Sure.
So those are, even though Blizzard seems like a distinctive brand, like Blizzard and Activision is all one corporation.
Okay.
So in that sense, they are like the Epic launcher in that it's just their games right now.
Stuff.
I think Origin is the only.
Origin has some third party
or
some non-EA stuff.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of that has non that publisher games on the storefront.
If I were Epic and I were looking to like, hey, we got a lot of people that have installed this launcher. What's another way we can get maybe some additional money out of them?
Malware.
Yeah, ransomware.
There you go.
Yeah, just lock up their stuff and be like, hey, send bitcoins to this.
Or maybe just some opt out mining in the background.
Exactly.
No,
that's what Fortnite's doing for them.
Yeah, you have to hit the trees and the rocks.
Yeah, every 8th tree you hit, someone gets some Ethereum. No, yeah, I think you could make a case for like, hey, maybe you do launch a real store. Maybe you just limit it to games running on Unreal Engine for a while. Maybe that's your distinctive difference or something weird like that.
Maybe you entice people onto that platform by giving them that 8812 as opposed to the 7030 they would get on Steam.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Assuming the 12 covers bandwidth costs for downloading a game in perpetuity and all that other stuff, that might get a little dicey.
That's fair.
Or hey, that's Tencent. at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Tencent owns a piece of Epic. Tencent owns a piece of a lot of different things. Tencent has their own launcher that they are. Are they
Wii Game?
Are they
okay,
Wii
yeah.
Game?
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I think that is set to be coming to the U.S. at some point.
Really?
So what if instead just the Epic launcher became the Wii Game launcher? Right?
Oh, yeah, wow. Tencent's Wii Game in development for international launch.
Yeah, so maybe you do that. Maybe that's your launch play is you say, hey, we've got this thing installed in a ton of different places. We're going to rebrand the Epic launcher as the Wii Game launcher, and it's going to be part of the Tencent family of families. And then that's how they get into different games. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that would even make sense or if that would just be too muddy.
You guys like launchers?
Love them.
Do you want to
I
run?
love them.
Launching.
You
want like 8 to 10.
Yeah, you want to run like
anytime.
a dozen of them at one time now?
Have you tried Discord's like kind of launcher stuff? It's not bad.
No, it's
Are you talking about the new front page they rolled out?
Their
Or is it
games
something
tab will have
in
like
addition to that?
that games tab that they have, which is not does
It's
not
the
have
thing
great
you're talking.
information
You're talking
on
about the thing it shunts you to now when you
Yes.
first start up. I like that better than just the sending you to the friends list. I mean, it's nice to have some kind of splash page, but
it's not effective in terms of like conveying information. It's supposed to be like, here's latest news about games you play, but I feel like the design, the layout, like it's not very good.
One of the things I noticed that's really weird about it is that it's, unless I misunderstood what was going on, it seems to populate it with games or with activity from people on the Discords you are part of.
Yeah.
And I don't know 99% of the people on most of the
weird. Mine's only populated with people I'm actively friends with, and so it's just like, hey, Ben Pack's playing Dota again.
I've seen that, but I saw
That's all I see.
Who told you?
Discord.
What do they know?
I saw some user playing some game get pulled into my splash page that I had never
They're
heard
literally
of.
watching what apps you're launching.
Yeah, but
They know.
I was just idling.
They also, I think, have 10-cent money. Now that I think about it.
I think you might be right.
Anyway, they also have a launcher bar, so it'll be icons of games you've played recently, and you can hit play right there to launch stuff. And it's not a terrible integration.
Yeah, that's convenient.
Yeah, it's convenient as someone who runs one game that doesn't launch in that launcher, which is Trackmania.
Okay. Yeah, I could see
it's
the
nice
appeal.
to have that there.
I could see the
guess.
appeal.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess end of the day, it is a good thing to have all these services competing with each other. Like it's as opposed to concentrating all of the power in Valve's hands.
Definitely, yeah. I think Valve is getting better and better at showing that maybe they are not great with their power.
Yeah. But it is kind of a mess on the end user front.
Yeah.
I pulled the bullet points out of the email I was sent about the No Man's Sky Next trailer that just came out this morning.
Yes.
Because that's, I keep forgetting the date.
29th?
What is it?
It's the
Next week.
24th.
It's soon.
Next
Yeah.
It's
week.
definitely soon.
Oh,
Is it the 24th?
I believe so.
yeah.
Yes. So that's a week from today that their big update is coming out. And like they had kind of alluded to some of the stuff that was going to be in this update, but not really spelled it out until this trailer dropped.
Hit me.
Here's what they called out. They start with multiplayer, which is the big thing they were already pitching. Team up with a small team of friends, or be joined by random travelers. You can help friends to stay alive, or prey on others to survive. You can build tiny shelters or complex colonies that are all shared, or that are shared for all players. Fight as a pirate or a wingman in epic space battles. Race exocraft. Create racetracks and trails to share online. Character customization allows you to personalize your appearance.
Ooh.
So they mentioned a visual overhaul, and it seems like the biggest component of that is that they have now added a third-person mode for on foot, for vehicles, for everything.
Cool.
Which was not there before. Then, you know, if appearance customization, if like suits and armor are a big thing now, then you want to be able to see your character.
If you're going to see other players, then you're going to want to have a look.
And you want to see yourself.
Yeah.
Because you have a cool outfit or whatever.
I do have a cool outfit.
Yeah, that's right. You put a lot of work into that.
I brought it from home.
You coordinated your colors.
Yeah.
Still lots of questions, but this all sounds enticing.
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah. Game is now fully playable in third person, on foot, and in a ship. New planetary rings and improved space visuals. Dramatically improved planetary terrain generation. Ground textures, water, and clouds. Significantly more detail added to ships, NPCs, and buildings.
Crazy.
Unlimited base building. Bases can now be built anywhere on any planet. Base building has dramatically increased complexity and size limits, and we've added hundreds of new base parts. You can now own multiple bases.
Unlimited base.
That's right. That's what I'm here for. And then this actually sounds kind of cool. I don't know how different this is from what they already had, but you can now assemble and upgrade a fleet of frigates and command them from the bridge of your freighter. Send your fleet out into the universe or deploy them to help you as you explore a specific system. The improved freighter base building allows a truly custom capital ship. Invite your friends aboard and take on challenging multiplayer missions from the Galactic Commission Station on your bridge. Like, that stuff sounds cool because, like, I think I just wanted a lot more Star Trek out of that initial release than I got.
Sure.
So being able to, like, build ships and customize them and command them and stuff and have a bridge and do stuff from there sounds super cool.
Yeah, that all sounds pretty neat.
Yeah. That's kind of the big rundown of what they seem to be adding.
Some of it sounds
space trucking.
It sounds like the game that Sea of Thieves should be in a weird way.
Yeah, I can't wait for 2 years from now.
No Man's Sky should have been.
Right. Well, I mean, it's yes, perhaps.
Can you imagine how different this entire conversation for that game would have been if they had launched it in early access when it came out?
Oh yeah.
Like just that semantic change.
Right.
If they had just said, "Hey, this is the initial 0.2 release."
Yeah.
This was the 1.0 release.
Yeah.
Yep. Sony does not have an early
Yeah,
access program.
I know.
They haven't.
What if?
Except
But they do have an
Microsoft
Indiegogo
does,
you
like-
can put money into for Shenmue 3.
Oh.
I mean, Microsoft started one. It's not, they could have put one together.
And Fortnite, I think, says early access on it when you launch
But yeah,
it.
they
still,
didn't even care.
Like Paragon did as well.
They just did it.
Like Epic was able to kind of do it.
At the same time, who's to say they would have made enough money off of an early access release to have funded this development for this long?
Yeah, there's so many chickens and so many eggs on this thing that
Yeah.
it's like to actually unravel how this went and what they could have done better beyond like being more upfront about what that game was at launch.
Yeah.
But then if they had done that and people were like, well, I'm not buying that, would they have gotten to this point?
Yeah, that's totally.
Which is like a terrible fucking thing on its own. Like there's a lot of dark shit around the edges of this.
Yeah.
But if they're going to make good on this game that people were very excited about and then very angry about and then somewhat excited about but still kind of angry about, maybe it works out okay in the long run.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, I want to get back into it. The game, as thin as it was, as chill as like super, just like
this now sounds
relaxing,
like,
zone out type game.
But like we'll see how it goes because this now sounds like the opposite of chill.
Oh yeah,
like,
if you can get
hey,
jumped
by the way,
pirates.
other players can fuck your shit up.
Yeah,
great.
I'm hoping that stuff's opt in.
It's a big enough space.
Yeah, hopefully
that you can
would just
probably
like,
just like find your own planet.
And I wonder if
chill
they still have
want.
like the regular main story in there of getting those like whatever objects you were collecting as you were getting closer to the center or whatever the hell it was.
Oh man,
Whatever they were called.
The alpha tokens, the orb.
Elf tokens?
Some orbs. There was some kind of orb, right?
Galactic orb.
Galactic orb. Orbs for short.
I mean, I don't think they've taken anything out of the game.
Yeah, I wonder, if like, there's like, because I haven't played it since launch.
I haven't either.
So.
But my understanding, I mean, there was like 2 big patches ago was the big story update.
Okay.
My understanding is that story superseded the thing it launched with.
Okay.
And was more of an actual story. So like, I think all that stuff is still in there. But
Is Alf going to be in it?
I hope so.
That'd be cool.
You're the Alf now.
To go to the cat planet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good eating.
Yeah.
I have one more news story.
Okay, because that's all I've got.
I don't know if this is unprecedented. I'm bringing my own news. Do you guys see
No,
that?
let's hear it.
You guys see that Aliens?
Oh yeah, I saw you're talking about the AI stuff.
Yeah.
I thought about putting that in.
I don't know. It's real. It seems like a fucking wild. It was one of those things that I read it and wonder how any video game ever actually gets made and works.
Sure.
So for those of you who didn't see it,
This sounds like it might not actually be true.
is it not true?
Yeah.
Well, I think the error was true. It's just
Yes.
that the amount that it actually changes in the game was sort of overblown from the sound of it. So like they
Yeah.
did screw it up in the way that it was reported.
Oh, yeah,
It's just that it doesn't-
but doesn't like people were like it's night and day. Like I've heard a lot of mixed things about
I've
this.
seen,
that's
I
why
saw a
specifically.
side-by-side
Yeah.
video, and it looks like it's a big enough change that it was like not okay. So basically, really quick, then we'll just
Yeah.
run it down really quick. Somebody picked up or Alien Isolation was on sale for $3.
Oh, this is Colonial Marines.
Colonial Marines. Thank you.
Isolation is actually a good game.
That's right.
Colonial Marines is not.
This is the one that came out in 2013.
It's the Gearbox game.
Gearbox.
It's the Gearbox game. They're
All the lawsuits.
a massive amount of controversy.
Lawsuits and those like famous
swirled
gifs
around.
of just the xenomorphs like kind of
just standing
walking
there.
by you
Real
and not doing anything.
Yeah, so if it fixes that, that's a huge thing.
Basically, somebody went into the INI files for the game and found that there was a typo of one letter where it was basically it was tether, TETHER versus TEATHER.
Yeah, they just like misspelled like a function name or something like that, like once in an INI file, and that like apparently broke the AI. In the game.
Yeah, like somebody went in there and edited it, and like you said, it doesn't like completely change the game in a lot of regards, but it does seem to give the enemies more life. Like it makes the AI seem like it has AI to a degree, where they will kind of move around you and like flank you and stuff, rather than just kind of walk around aimlessly and just move about. And sure enough, people, like I said, have put side by side videos.
I guess like if more and more people are trying it, then we'll see, I guess. But yeah, I guess I saw one or two things of people saying like, actually, it doesn't do a damn thing, and people are just seeing like slightly different responses that were already there, and just some people are encountering a bug and maybe some people aren't, but it's not actually fixing it. Anyway, I don't know enough about the game to know one way or the other, but I saw just enough stuff of people going like, no, it totally doesn't. But
that was my biggest takeaway earlier, is what I said of like, if one typo like this can theoretically,
I suspect the case is that feature was legitimately broken. It's just that feature working as intended is not great to begin with. So like even fixing it is not going to rescue the game.
Maybe not. Yeah, I guess I have not seen it. I've not tried it for myself, and I didn't play enough of the game when with it broken to be able to say.
I feel like the biggest news out of this is that there's a modding community for Aliens Colonial Marines. Like that was interesting to find out.
Do you think they'll re-release the game as the tethered edition?
Tethered edition.
Wait till you see the Reddit full of porn devoted to the game. Look out, it's out there. Be careful. Never mind.
Yeah, so you couldn't fix the console version really without re-releasing it, or I guess you'd patch it.
I'd be really curious to see, give it another week or two of people breaking it down and see what the final takeaway is on this. I'm curious.
I hope this inspires people to just pour through,
just turn on spell check and just
find other games.
Yeah, like what one letter change could make a game so different.
It's one weird trick to make that game almost good. All right. Emails.
It was originally Super Mario Bros. And not Bros. But there was a typo in the title screen.
Very different game.
Very different thing.
All right, here's some emails. Bombcast@channelbomb.com. I don't know if we want to do a full top 10 here, but at least it's a good starter. Christopher from Andeboo.
Number 1 mozzarella, number 2 Parmesan, number 3 cheddar, number 4 brie.
Brie's got to be higher than that.
It's good, but it's situational.
Brie is top 3.
What about goat cheese?
That's my motto. Goat cheese is good.
Goat cheese is all right.
Okay.
Are there a lot of different types of goat cheese? Is that an umbrella? I mean, are there?
I thought that was just the one.
Or is there just the one?
What about like a nice American cheese?
No.
It's in my top 10 because it makes the best grilled cheeses.
Oh, I don't even agree with that.
No, you got to combine cheeses.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, I do.
Mixed grilled cheese.
American, and then I have a proprietary blend that I... Look, I take my cheese very seriously. Anyways, go ahead, Brad.
Pepper jack.
Yeah.
Best sandwich cheese.
Up there.
Provolone.
Havarti.
Havarti's also good.
Yeah.
Like a nice provolone.
It's pretty good.
It's smooth.
All right.
Just fuck Velveeta.
What are the top 10 final boss fights in video games?
Oh, that's a different question.
I think semi-final bosses are fine too, since many games will have a really good next to last boss and then a pushover final boss that's just an obligation for the story. I'm nominating Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Revengeance and Grigori the Dragon from Dragon's Dogma.
I haven't gotten that.
I was going to say Liquid Snake.
He's totally right though. Like the second to last boss seems to be like, I don't know, traditionally the one that really stands out to me.
It's like the Letterman top 10 list. You make the number 2 the good one because you're just going to shout the number 1 as you're bumping out to commercial anyway. So
I think the end of Ocarina of Time is the most excited I have ever been during a boss fight because the game was so fucking revelatory at the time, and then you get to the end and you fight regular Ganon, and you're like, I guess this is cool, but
the light arrows, like
this is interesting. I kind of wish I was fighting real Ganon, though. Oh well, this game was really good anyway. And then you're running down the castle as it's collapsing, and then all the shit actually goes down, and you're like, oh man,
yeah,
it gave me exactly what I wanted.
I thought the end of the Shadow Link boss fight in Adventure of Link was a cool fucking moment of just like, oh shit, I gotta fight me.
Yeah, I fight myself. Also, this game is hard as shit.
God, I'm trying to think of like recent stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my go-to is Liquid
classics,
Snake,
of course,
from MGS4.
Is that the last actual fight though? Like that whole end game sequence is so long. I don't remember what the actual last thing you do is.
That fight is the last gameplay
Yeah.
of the game.
Like, is the hallway before or after that?
Before.
Okay.
That's leading up to that point.
Okay.
Totally.
What about a Shang Tsung? Does he crack the top 10?
No.
Change into everybody, man.
No.
I would almost do the semi-last boss and say Goro is better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case.
Secret
Because
bosses
Goro
count?
looks so crazy, especially like when the first time you see Goro. It's like, hey, this fighting game with all these real people in it, and then here's this claymation fucking thing. You're
and
like,
it's
yeah,
huge.
that's
It's
awesome.
huge.
First
Good
time
Harryhausen looking shit.
First time I fought Akuma. Oh man.
Gigas
scary.
from Earthbound.
Mm.
That is, it's like this fucking really, like the game is 90% fun and whimsical and light and like, oh, we're just these kids having a good time adventure. And then that last dungeon is just dark and trippy, and there's just fucking like acid visuals in the background, and you fight this giant kind of fetus monster that has your childhood bully holed up inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fucking cool and out there.
Everything in Metal Gear Solid. Everything.
Culex in Super Mario RPG is a hidden final boss.
Like, it's not necessarily a final boss, but I might say like the escape sequence from Metroid as being like,
Let's stand out.
like it's a really cool concept for an end of a game thing. Like the fight against Mother Brain itself, like kind of not that big.
Not that much,
Yeah.
but the tense run out as the timer's ticking down.
I would kind of say what you could call the last boss of Red Dead Redemption. Like the
Yeah.
actual last thing you can do in that game.
Shit,
Yeah.
Even though he in terms of the mechanics, he functions just like any other person in that game, in that you can, if you pop him once in the head, he just dies. But
gotcha.
should I?
There's
It's old enough. It's old enough to talk about it, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Sure.
I
Like-
beat it, and I don't remember what
Really?
happened. Yeah,
Like the game culminates in like Marston has been doing the work of the lawmen for the
Yep.
whole, like they've been forcing him to round up the old gang, and then once he's done all their dirty work, they show up at his farm a few months later
Yep.
and fucking murder him
yeah, I remember that.
in front of his family. And then it flashes forward after the credits to, if you want to keep doing side missions and stuff, you are now playing his son, who is now grown up enough to be a
That's-
cowboy in his
okay.
own right.
I remember.
And then a side mission icon pops on the map with no ceremony. They don't point any arrows going like, hey, you should really go to this new side. Like, it's, you kind of have to look at the map and you're like, oh, I never did that one before. And you go there and it's the lawman
It's like your
who
handler.
killed your father
Mhm.
in his retirement, fucking fly fishing in a river. And you could walk up to him and he is defiant, and then you shoot him in the fucking head
Nice,
and walk away, and then it's all
Really
late
good.
title card credits.
nice.
It's a really good way to end a game.
Yeah.
Can you just shoot him from a distance, or do you have to like trigger the mission?
I don't know. Actually, I would
Yeah.
have to go watch a video or something. I don't remember if there's a cutscene or if
I
he
don't
just,
remember
if the
either.
dialogue might just happen in line as you're.
Okay.
I want to say you can actually shoot him down while he's yelling at you
Yeah.
or something. It's an incredible moment.
You guys remember Bigfoot's in that game?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
Well, that's
so great.
that was the DLC. No, maybe you're
I
right.
think it was just in the
Yeah.
Like
Amazing.
one of the side missions is
That's
you
ridiculous.
interacting with God. Like, do you remember that? Like,
No.
yeah, like one of it's the like mysterious stranger missions. He's just a guy in like a
Oh yeah.
black hat and cloak or something. And
Okay.
it's never stated outright, but it is very clearly some kind of divine presence that you keep running into, who is like,
What
That's
does
a
God
fucking
need
weird
with
game.
a horse-drawn carriage?
that's it's such a weird game, man.
What if God was one of us?
God, that game is so good.
Super
is.
Shredder
It's a
from
heavy question.
Turtles in Time.
Hmm.
It's another very good. As far as like platforming bosses go,
He zaps
or
you
not
with that.
beat 'em ups.
Yeah, he zaps you with that gem. You turn into a little turtle.
Actually, I don't remember
It's a
if it
bummer.
was God or
He
the
zips
devil.
around.
Yeah.
He looks really fucking cool.
Yeah.
It might have been the devil. I forget actually.
Super Shredder was badass.
Most boss fights are bad.
Yeah.
So, I like boss fights that are good.
Wow, that's
I
a
can get
bold
behind
take.
that.
Okay, I guess.
That's what I'm
How do you say
Shit,
something
man.
so brave
That's what I'm
and
here.
yet controversial?
That's what I'm here to say. Ian, which wrestling move has the coolest name?
One-winged angel.
Yeah.
Wait,
okay.
did somebody actually name a wrestling move
Yeah.
after
Kenny
that?
Omega,
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
hell
That's
Burning Hammer.
That's good.
Burning Hammer's pretty good.
Mm.
okay.
I always
Sliced
liked
bread was sliced bread number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always liked Rock Bottom. There's a simplicity to it, but like so it's got the guy's name in it, which is always great.
Yeah.
Like if your move can have your name in it, that's always bonus
Yeah.
points. It's invocative. That's not a word.
Evocative.
Evocative. Thank
yeah.
you. Like you're like, oh shit. Like it's a bad place to be emotionally and physically, right?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it's a tight little package of a move.
Is his bottom involved?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tight little package. That's what he said.
As not a wrestling fan, I'm going to say the people's elbow.
People's elbow,
Yeah,
People's
that's
It's like the spirit bomb of wrestling.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Also the worst in terms of like actual.
Oh, I don't know.
If you had to rate it on a level of like believability to actually be a really devastating move, you'd look at it and go like,
Sure. I just like the name.
yeah.
What did Rikishi call his move where he
The
puts his butt in his
stink
face?
Stink face.
Stink face. That's mine.
Oh, the worm then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worm's pretty devastating.
The worm will, yeah. The worm is not that different from the people's elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The science is, yep.
Yeah.
Science checks out.
Shake, rattle, and roll. Honky Tonk Man. Took you on a journey. He shook. He rattled. And then he rolled.
What's the difference between shaking and rattling?
The shaking was like shaking back and forth. The rattle was like a little shimmy
Okay.
in his hips. And the roll was, neck breaker.
All right.
Good.
Chris from Centerville, Ohio.
Centerville, Ohio sounds like the most boring place in America.
No, you
I'm
haven't
sorry.
been to Middletown.
I'm sorry, Chris. I mean nothing against you or your town, but I cannot think of a more boring sounding town.
How do
than
you think the chili is there?
Fine,
How do you think?
Bold. Another bold take.
How do you think the Chili's is there?
fine.
I was recently going through my treasure trove of childhood games. In doing this, I could only find the manuals for certain games, such as Zelda: A Link to the Past, Mario RPG, and the fairly rare Mega Man X3. I never found those cartridges and must have left them at friends' houses during sleepovers or hangouts. Are there any games that got away from you? Any game that you left somewhere and it never made its way home?
Blitz the League, most recently. I brought it in to play one day for like UPF or something,
Yeah.
and opened it up, and there's
Walked
no
away?
disc in there.
Huh.
I have no idea. So it's in a console somewhere. I don't know.
If you
Maybe.
find Jason's Blitz League copy, send it into
Yeah.
Giant Bomb.
Please
via-
contact us.
Yeah.
It's like one of those dogs that gets stranded across the country and
Yeah.
finds its way.
Did you put a chip in your Blitz the League disc to make sure that it can be
Maybe.
tracked?
Yeah, I should.
Maybe-
I had a copy of Panzer Dragoon Orta around the time of the original Xbox that the disc disappeared out of, and I've
Oh,
had
man.
the case ever since. And like,
Oh, man.
it just
Damn.
killed me. I could not find the disc.
My copy of Knights disappeared, which is okay.
yeah, I was
That's
gonna say.
fine.
We used it when we were
Disappeared.
filming Game of the Year stuff. There was like shots of like Patrick hiding copies, like a copy of
Okay.
Knights.
Was that the one at your house?
Yeah.
Oh,
When we filmed that at my house,
Oh.
my copy of Knights vanished.
it must still be in your
It
house
must
then.
still, unless one of you fuckers took it, which you're welcome to it, because who gives a shit? It's fucking Knights. But yeah, I don't know where my copy of Knights went since that day.
You didn't give it the Sam Show treatment.
No,
Have-
I did not
have
own
three
multiple
of them
copies
around just in case?
Yeah, did not own multiple copies of Knights,
I
but I do have a copy of Christmas Knights somewhere. So
They made another Knights.
Well,
it
it
was
was
like
like
a-
a demo disc that's like
Yeah.
here's a
Okay.
Christmas themed demo of Knights.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
But then they also put Knights out on the Wii. And is that a
Yeah.
new game or is that just the same game
I think
again?
it was
think
the
it's the
same.
same
I think it
game.
was the same
Whatever.
game. Yeah, just
Fucking Knights.
fucking Knights.
Fucking Knights.
Fucking Knights is the Christmas Knights we all wanted.
I
that analog controller to use.
Uh huh.
I traded my friend Bennett my copy of Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool
Uh huh.
for his copy of Mega Man X2. And then his mom came over to my house and said it wasn't a fair trade and I had to give it back.
What?
And so I gave it back.
That's-
And then he still had my copy. He still has my copy
Dude,
of Chester
Bennett.
Cheetah.
His mom is,
Too cool to fool.
complicit in war crimes.
I-
That's,
I
what the
had-
hell?
I
I think he's in rehab right
That's
now.
terrible.
Though, so
Okay,
get
well,
it back
yeah.
to me when you can, dude.
I had someone's dad come over, same exact reason, because I tried to pass off a copy of Super Pitfall for the NES, which is dog shit.
Wait a minute. Were these supposed to be permanent trades?
these are supposed to be
okay,
permanent
that
trades.
changes things.
I think it was ambiguous at the time for me.
Okay, no,
Okay, I thought-
for me it was like definitely meant to be we're trading games.
Okay, because I had traded games with my friends all the time, but it was
Yeah.
always a temporary thing. It was just like, oh, let's swap games for
That's
a
what I think
couple
I
weeks and
thought was
play
gonna
them,
happen,
and then
he
swap them
thought it
back.
was permanent. It was
Yeah.
Super Pitfall is a shit fucking game. That guy's dad was right to come fucking get that shit back. I forget what I got out of it. Something better than Super Pitfall though.
All right, Brandon from British Columbia, Canada.
They should bring back Pitfall.
They made a runner for iOS.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Brandon says the Game Boy hits its 30th anniversary on April 21st, 2019, or July 31st for North America. What should Nintendo do to celebrate this? And on the flip side, what do you think they'll probably do instead?
Alleyway
Us?
2.
Yeah,
And
yes.
Alleyway 2.
Should make a new alleyway.
Turrican 4.
Which should it be? Should it be a Switch game or a Game Boy game?
A Game Boy game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. We suck at planning anniversaries, so we're
Alleyway
not the
2.
one to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. They could do what if they did Game Boy themed Joy-Cons?
Okay. That's
What
sure.
they look like? Just gray or
Yeah, it's like that color
Okay.
scheme and maybe some of
The purple.
some of the the word.
I love that they
wording
make
stuff.
themed Joy-Cons, but A, they're too expensive, and B, that
Seriously,
none of the
they need to find a better way to customize those.
designs are any good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to people who like the green and pink ones, but
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah, yeah.
I want some cool retro stuff.
Right.
There's that company. Have you seen that company that makes like the SNES themed? Like they look like a Super NES controller,
Yep.
No.
but they're like $250 or something.
Yikes.
Nope.
Did you guys see that? There's like a some sort of fundraiser for a device that finally gives you access to use Bluetooth headphones.
Yes, Bluetooth like plugs into the USB-C port.
No, I didn't see that.
It's a cool idea, but it just like
Does it work with everything, or do games have to support it? Like I don't.
I think it works.
I assume it would
everything.
work with everything. I assume it would just be able to like capture the audio.
It's
output.
probably just an
Oh,
audio out
yeah.
into a Bluetooth adapter.
Oh, it's like a headphone. Like
transmitter.
it just goes into the headphone jack then.
Yeah.
No. It
I'm
goes in the
guessing.
USB-C port.
Really?
Oh,
Okay, well
because
that's
the-
weird because how does the audio come out of there then?
Because it's probably putting it into. Well, no, I was gonna say putting it into TV output mode, but you're still getting screen
Right.
output. They're probably able to somehow
Huh.
activate the audio output
Huh.
through that thing without taking the video.
Yeah, that's.
Or maybe
weird.
the Switch already has USB-C headphone support or something.
Yeah, maybe it does. I don't know. It's-
It's possible.
I wonder.
They claim it works. I don't know. I mean, it's better than nothing because
Alright.
the headphone
They claim it works.
the headphone jack
Some of
adapters were
it.
shit because they had latency.
Right.
Made it useless. But I really wish that thing just had built-in Bluetooth.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Actually, it does. They just don't let you use headphones with it.
That's yeah.
That's really crappy. I don't think they need to do like a Game Boy Classic or whatever necessarily. I don't think that's
No.
called for exactly.
No.
Maybe some kind of Switch collection would be cool though. I don't know. I don't know if those games hold up on a bigger screen.
Oh, they do okay.
Yeah.
You put
But-
some fun borders.
Yeah. You could. Yeah, I don't know. Like a Game Boy Classic would actually be kind of cool.
Kind
Like if they sold a
Game Boy
new
Mini?
portable, yeah, or like a yeah.
I guess the question is like, would you keep the original like dimensions and screen size and stuff? Because that is
No.
bad.
No, definitely not.
So would you make it more like a Game Boy Color in size? And
I would probably make it even smaller, honestly.
SP.
No, because you'd want the original like look of the original Game
It just
Boy
looks
for the
like a Game Boy,
anniversary.
but it's an SP.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it folded, but it still looked like original.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of neat.
So
Give
it's
me another Game Boy
So it's
Micro.
basically just a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
But without the GBA.
Now
hardware in
that's
it.
a holiday we're celebrating. That's an anniversary.
GBA played Game Boy games, right?
Yep.
Like all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I didn't try them all.
Maybe
but
just pick up a
There's-
cheap Game
there's
Boy
probably
Advance.
like one that doesn't work,
Yeah.
some weird incompatibility, but yeah, sure.
All right. Question from Adam. Which video game king is the best king? I'd say King from King of
yes.
Fighters, but King of All Cosmos from Katamari is a strong second.
Sneak King.
Ooh, okay.
really good.
All right.
King from
Tekken.
KOF.
King from...
They said
Yeah, he said that one. Wait, who's King from KOF is Lady, right?
Yeah, she does the foot Hadoukens.
Better than King from Tekken?
Sometimes they're double.
Mm.
No, not better.
Best fighting game King.
There's also
I like
Armor
playing
King.
her better.
I don't know if I like Armor King or King better.
I like King better. Armor King's an
he does
imitator.
fight for the orphans, but like Armor King's got that cool cape.
Wait, are they different kings?
Yeah.
I thought the Armor King is not just regular King wearing armor.
He's the old king.
Yeah.
He used to be.
Or King died and
King.
Armor King became king. Is that what it is?
They
And
were
then
rivals, though.
one of the
Yeah.
orphans
Also-
that got rescued grew up and became Armor King.
Wait, what did you just say?
One of
The orphans that got
orphans.
rescued.
I thought you said Roarfins.
One of the orphans.
Like they're orphans who are way into their tiger costumes.
The Warfins are
Yeah.
the dudes from the kids from Metal Gear Solid 4.
It's a gang of orphans.
That are just
Roarfins.
super into roaring all the time.
Yeah.
They got the strength of the lion. I don't know.
I could be getting the Tekken lore wrong there, but it sure sounds good.
Yeah.
Speaking of lions, I'm going to say King of Red Lions
Mm.
because he's a talking boat. That's pretty cool.
King Arthur from that Knights of the Round
It's a good game, man.
beat him up.
It's a pretty good game.
Okay.
It's okay.
Percival for life.
Hmm.
Yeah. Lancelot's really good.
Yeah.
I'm an Arthur main though.
Ryan from Perth in Australia. Is there a good reason Mike Haggar has never been playable in a Street Fighter game while other Final Fighters have?
Zangief.
Yeah, his
Oh.
moves are exactly Zangief's.
Huh. I didn't think about that. That makes sense.
That's why he often has a skin that is like a Mike
Yeah.
Haggar looking.
He's playable in Final Fight Revenge, which is a fighting game.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
But
Alright.
not a Street Fighter game.
Sure.
And then like in Marvel, you can play him,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no Geef in that, right? So he has his
No Geef.
lariat.
Yeah.
But then he also, he's gotten some advanced tech lately. He can throw barrels. He's got pipes.
Yep.
So I
Right,
think they
yeah.
could really make him a
Yeah,
full-fledged.
they could definitely like break him out. It's just
Yeah,
a matter of
totally.
like, do they need to?
Nah.
Did you see that Mike Hagar costume for Cody?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good.
Cody's. I really
It's all,
like
like,
Cody's
oversized
looking
and shit.
5.
Yeah. He's one of the best looking characters now.
Gary from Southport. Don't know which one. Indiana.
South of
I'm going to guess.
Northport.
Is there a Southport in Indiana? That sounds right.
There is now.
Maryland.
You are allowed to create one new internet top level domain. What would it be?
.jizz.
Examples. Oh boy.
Beat me to it.
He just goes straight. He goes .fucks, .bay, or .knack.
Oh, we have that. It's multiple choice. We don't.
No. He's just giving examples.
I already gave mine.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know. that-
1Z or 2.
2.
Two. What are you?
Yeah.
Because I still, part of me still feels like a 3-letter domain is good and
Hey,
proper.
check it out. Jazz.jizz. That's my website.
What about jizz.jizz for people who are into the music of Star Wars in a really intimate way?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, the Cantina, it's
You
basically
gotta
like
have a
a.
really strong splash page though.
Yep.
I'm basically
Really strong
imagining a
splash
website
page.
that's Neopets, but for the Cantina.
Uh-huh.
So you get to make a little fucked up dog man or something.
Yeah, you do.
And put him in the bar with Luke and Han,
Mm-hmm.
and they just all hang out and listen to the really good music. And also, who knows what happens when you reach level 21?
Luke gets thirsty. Thirsty for milk.
I watched that movie last night, and that scene,
That scene is still so creepy.
it's just so out of nowhere.
Yep.
It,
It's creepy, but
why
also,
why does Luke drink that milk?
he's thirsty.
It's not milk.
Sustenance.
I mean, I don't know. That's how he gets
And
by.
then
That's
he,
how he
like-
gets by.
He just like looks at her, and then the thing looks at her, and they're both just looking at her like, what?
I mean, the face he makes, I took to mean because he doesn't want her there. He's like, all right, you want to hang out with me? Then
Yeah.
fuck you. This is what you're going to do.
Like
Like,
what you're gonna want.
But what about the
this
cow alien that also gives her a Pixar look?
I don't know, man.
Luke Arbuckle.
I think I keep saying it. I think .pro and .zone are the best recent domains.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is
Trying
there
to
a
think of something, and that's not bad.
I like
Trying to think of
box.
something in that vein.
Dot power.
Okay.
.hot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now we're talking.
Dot website.
www.
There, I think that exists.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. Dot website I think already exists.
Hmm.
Dot ER. if
Can we
that- if that
register
doesn't
Gabe
exist.
dot website?
It's probably already taken.
.aol.
.er, so you could just register harder.
Okay, sure.
That's pretty good actually.
But I bet .er already exists. There must be some country somewhere that abbreviates to that.
I still need to get a domain. I just can't decide on anything.
McDonald's.lol got taken, so
yeah. So did Pookie.zone.
yeah. So
although they offered to transfer Pookie.zone to us,
I would take that,
or just redirect it to the website.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's all that I would do with it. But
Danny from Virginia writes in. While I unfortunately do not own any Sonic the Hedgehog outerwear other than a pair of socks, I've managed to sneak my love of the franchise onto Tinder anyway. Tinder lets you connect your Spotify account and choose an anthem to display underneath your bio. A surprising number of older Sega soundtracks are on Spotify, so I had to rep my favorite entry in the Sonic franchise. My anthem is currently Escape from the City by the one and only Crush 40. While my match rate has not decreased at all, I've yet to receive any direct feedback from the other members of Virginia Lesbian Tinder. So there you go.
Good luck.
It's a field report.
Good luck. I mean, if it's not hurting,
Sonic,
right?
yeah,
Sonic fandom and Tinder over usage.
Yeah.
Heavy Venn diagram overlap.
I feel like Tinder isn't.
They just need a Sonic dating app now.
Yeah, Tinder isn't the app for like fan culture. Like, oh, if you want to make a serious connection, make that your OkCupid anthem. But like, you know, if you're trying to just get down dirty, you got to make it a more erotic Sonic song. May I recommend that one like Shadows theme from Adventure 2? That's
hot stuff.
Yeah.
That one's a club banger.
Yeah. Escape from the City is like, oh, you know, I like memes. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, but you could tolerate it for an afternoon.
Oh no, I mean, I a lot of my
for
friends.
a lifetime.
I have a lot of good friends who like memes. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you know, if I'm looking for a potential partner, I don't want to start it on the basis that we both like Escape from the City.
But I'm saying if it's Tinder and you're not
It's
necessarily
just
looking to start anything, you're looking to start and finish something.
Then it's
The anthem thing, the whole feature seems misguided at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tinder scares me.
Okay. Greg from Raleigh, North Carolina. The Last of Us 2 has come up for the last couple of weeks. I always wanted to get your perspective on whether you thought Joel was right with his decision at the end of the first game.
That's a big
Look at my bumper sticker.
yeah.
Actually, the end of his email says also memes are just digital bumper stickers.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I thought that's form signatures.
he says I have an 8-year-old daughter, and okay, we're talking about the end of The Last of Us here.
Yeah, that's a big spoiler.
I have an 8-year-old daughter, and if the cure for the disease was in her head and you had to kill her to get it out, y'all are some dead motherfuckers. I just wanted to get your perspective on this, especially Jason, who has a child.
Yeah, man. There's nothing in the world that could get me to do harm to my son.
Yeah.
Like even if it saved the fucking world, it's just physically impossible.
Have you guys finished the game? You did not.
No. I didn't.
Never
That is the end of the game. Is that she gets abducted by the last capable medical facility in the world because she's
Is that the fireflies or whatever?
Yeah.
Or?
She's immune to the fungal infection, and they want to know why, and they think if they crack her head open, they can figure it out.
Fuck that.
So see, that's very
Draw some
different
blood or
from hey, the
something.
cure is in here.
I think that was part of the ambiguity was they couldn't guarantee that it was going to work, but they were convinced of it because they're fanatics.
Yeah.
And then
if they are fanatics and convinced of it, and also it's ambiguous in a way, then I think that casts enough doubt on it that you're like, study her, sure, let's figure it out, let's see what we can learn.
Draw some blood, sure.
The end of the game is you taking
want a fingernail? Go for it.
Taking control of Joel again and going in there and fucking murdering what is probably one of the last capable surgeons in the country.
Yep.
To get her back.
Yeah, that moment for me was just like, yep, fuck yeah, man. I would do the same. I feel you, Joel.
Yeah, I guess so, but I didn't feel good about it, which is exactly what the ending of that game is about.
Right.
That's a good game. Let's see.
More emails.
Rusty in Maryland.
Hey.
I recently purchased a Nintendo 2DS XL.
Oh, cool.
I'm 45, and even though I've been playing PC games most of my life, this is my first true portable system. Aside from my phone, I really love this thing. I'm curious how long you guys think Nintendo will continue to support the 3DS platform now that the Switch has taken focus. From your experience, how long will the store be online to purchase new games? Should I stock up now or wait for some big sale just before it shuts down?
I think they'll leave the store up for a good long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the Wii shop is still up. You just can't buy points. So if you have a points balance, you can still spend it.
I think that's right.
And the Wii U stuff is still up.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: there's a trillion 3DSs and DSs out there, and you know the Switch has kind of taken this weird. It's both a portable and console, meaning like they don't really have anything to gain by shutting that store down right now. It's the Switch is not another new handheld system exclusively.
Yeah. I wouldn't be worried about the foreseeable future for like 3DS eShop stuff. Like I think all that stuff will stay there.
I also
It'll
don't
stay
think
put.
they'll have a huge sale before they shut down.
No.
That's not.
No.
Yeah,
really
Nintendo is not big on sales.
No.
At all.
I actually was looking at the 3DS eShop over the weekend because I had transferred. My wife wanted to visit my Animal Crossing town, and it was on the 3DS that she was using. So she had a physical cartridge of Animal Crossing, but I had a digital copy on there, and so we couldn't, so I took the opportunity. Like, I could give her a different 3DS, or I could just take this 3DS that I have over here, transfer all my stuff onto it, and then she could keep using that one. That's what I ended up doing. And then as part of that process, I was like, what's in the eShop these days?
Yeah.
And I looked, and like I patched Smash Brothers because I hadn't been patched in forever, and loaded it up, and because I want to see like,
we can play
how
now,
much?
finally.
Yeah. I want to see just like how much is the DLC for this stuff, and it's still like all fighter bundle $42, and I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
If it was like, hey, unlock all these fighters for like $4 because it's a 3DS and who cares, then I might go like, sure. But no, I don't think they're gonna run any kind of big time sale.
Yeah.
No, definitely no blowout.
It's a shame.
I bought copies of Captain Toad and Tennis over the weekend, and I'm not sure why, because I don't know if I'm going to play either one of them, but we'll see.
Play Captain Toad for sure.
I want to play Captain Toad.
I did not play a ton of Captain Toad on Wii U.
That's the thing.
I'm
I played it for like half an hour.
Yeah, I'm
going
gonna
to
give it a go on Switch, I think.
It completely fell off tennis.
Yeah, I got it for half off, so that was the deciding factor. Because otherwise, I saw somebody refer to Tennis as ARMS 2018 the other day.
Oh, that's not fair. I had fun with tennis for a day.
Yeah,
That's more than I can say for ARMS.
I feel like ARMS
fun
you had
with
fun
ARMS for a
with
day.
for 2 hours, hour and a half,
How long was that demo thing I went to?
a couple hours.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see. How about?
Yeah, that one.
No, the other one.
Yeah, go back.
Okay, here we
not
go.
That one.
That's what I said.
Greg from Olathe, Kansas. I'm trying to alphabetize my PS2 game collection, but questioning my sanity in the process.
Always a good time.
Do the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell games get filed under T for Tom, S for Splinter, or C for Clancy, Tom?
Oh, jeez.
Does the same apply to the Tony Hawk skating games? What about the Shin Megami Tensei games like Nocturne, Persona, Devil Hunter, and Digital Devil? Some of them are preceded by a number, such as Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, while others are a subseries within a series that are more commonly known by their subseries name. Fuck branded and convoluted game names, and also fuck humanity's need to organize this type of chaos.
I put my Clance games together under Tom.
Yes.
Do you really?
Because it's just
I
the
would
start
Splinter
of the,
Cell them.
Yeah, no, it's Tom and Tony right there. Tony
Really?
Hawk, Tom Clancy, forever,
Okay.
right there next to each other.
You put them all together. The idea of alphabetization is I want to be able to find the game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you think of the game, you think of the first word in the game. T,
Yeah.
Tom.
Or
I
there
never
it is.
say the Tom Clancy Splinter Cell though. Like
You say Splinter Cell?
I just say Splinter Cell.
more to the point, alphabetize them in whatever way you were able to find what you
Exactly.
want the
I
fastest.
know I'm looking for Clance, and
Yeah.
I know that Clance is right there next to Tony Hawk.
And then within
So-
within the Tom Clancy section, you can mix them up a little bit. Like if it makes sense to you, you're like, oh, I want to put these. Like it should be subsets of a greater set, right?
So the thing I end up doing, with this stuff, and maybe Clancy is an exception, but generally, when it comes to like if games start to have sequels where it's not just numbers, so if you were to truly alphabetize them, you would be I put them in there in release order. Once they're filed away in their basic spot, and then it's like, okay, this game's going after this game, even though the subtitle of this one is Ascension or whatever, it's still the 5th one. So
right, that's with physical stuff. But if you're dealing with like a spreadsheet kind of situation, you just let the computer do whatever it wants.
Yeah, because the thing I'm using is tied to a central database that like it'd be a hassle for me to change it anyway. So, but I think in that case it is all Tom as well.
Really?
Yeah.
What about Thom Clancy?
I'm waiting.
Yeah,
still waiting for.
He hasn't inked his own deal yet.
Yeah.
John, also from Perth, representing today. I've been noticing over the last couple of years that Fallout New Vegas is now considered good and Fallout 3 is bad. But I remember a time when Fallout 3 was commonly known to be way better than New Vegas, which was seen as a sort of lame, off-brand Fallout experience that was rushed out by a different company. Yeah. Is this just part of the natural cycle of the new thing is bad, the previous version was way better? Will we eventually see community sentiment turn around and call Fallout 4 good after Fallout 5 comes out?
We're already seeing that.
And have you noticed any other reversals of popularity in your time covering games?
Constantly, but New Vegas was good.
Yeah, I definitely see
remember
a lot.
I remember there being aspects of it where it felt like maybe a little rushed.
I was going to say, I don't necessarily... I to be fair, I haven't played New Vegas, but from what I remember, I don't think the premise of this email necessarily holds up in this case, because I feel like people were celebrating New Vegas like right away.
Yeah.
There's definitely been an uptick recently of people like talking about New Vegas and 4 even in a positive light, but I don't hear really anyone saying 3 was bad.
Yeah, that doesn't seem super common either. I mean, the one thing I remember about New Vegas was people saying it was buggy as shit.
Right.
Yeah. Just a mess.
It was just like, this is Fallout 3.5.
But now it's been patched many times, and fan mods have
I think
come out.
The thing you heard was like, oh, New Vegas has a great story.
Yeah.
The story in Fallout 3 is bad, or something like that. You know, I think that's the thing that changed in retrospect is New Vegas came along, and then people were like, man, it's so much better than the story in Fallout 3. I
mean, the through lines of the Bethesda games have never been like the strongest aspects of those games by any means.
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes games are just reinterpreted and reconsidered for long enough that people decide that, or standards change, attitudes change.
Absolutely. That's definitely
things that weren't considered as much of a big deal before suddenly are.
Yeah, I mean, you see more and more people coming to the realization that Majora's Mask was bad.
Yeah. It was bad all along.
Yeah. I mean, we knew it at the time, but it took, some things take time.
Yeah.
I knew it in my gut when I played it once and then never touched it again.
That was another game I patched on the 3DS. So I was like, I've got this installed. Oh, in case I play it, I want to make sure it's the latest version of this gem.
Right. I think I've said before, MGS2 was a game that I was like kind of disappointed in at the time and have certainly come to respect more with the benefit of a lot of hindsight.
MGS2 was good then.
Snow 3.
It's not.
Exactly.
It wasn't
MGS2. What a great game. It's no 3.
It wasn't what I wanted at the age of 21 or whatever I was when it came out. Things are very different now.
Yeah.
You may have noticed.
Yeah.
The Patriots.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Jarrett in Sacramento. As far as I know, Namco's Panic Park is the only game banned from arcades because it was injuring players.
Yeah.
You'd think that distinction would make the game infamous, but only hardcore arcade machine collectors seem to be aware it even existed. Please spread the legend of Panic Park in honor of the children it maimed in the late 90s.
There's photos of me playing Panic Park, and it's the most violent I've ever looked.
What exactly is it?
It's a arcade cabinet, and it's 2 players, and it's set up with there's kind of this. I'm thinking of the right game, right? With the levers.
The levers you move back and forth. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
There's 2 levers, and they're both on the same track, so they can both go all the way. It's kind of like a semicircle.
Okay.
And all the games are like, move your character left or right to avoid obstacles, or collect coins, or dodge bullets, or whatever. But the thing is, since you're both on the same track, you can push the other player's lever. Okay. Right? So it becomes like,
they're connected? They move as a unit.
Well, no, they don't move as a unit. They're both move
on
independently, but they're both on the same track.
Oh, so you're physically pushing theirs?
Yes.
Oh my god.
So it becomes like, oh, I'm going to push you into this rock, or I'm going to push you, and then your character will be pushed into this rock, or I'm going to move out as you're pushing me, and then you hit the rock, or whatever. You can play it at California Extreme. They always have a couple cabinets there.
That's why they call it California Extreme. They
That
weren't
it
allowed
used to be
call it that.
California,
Yeah.
and then they brought
And they're like,
Panic
hey.
Park. I found it in the wild once in Santa Cruz, I think, at just like some arcade on the dock. But oh, totally! Like I hurt myself playing that game because I mean we were drinking, but it's the most physical I've ever gotten with a video game.
Wow, I'd never heard of it before.
And it does like a thing where like before every game starts, it goes and you're supposed to slam the two levers into each other to mimic the sound.
Sounds like a good
rite
way
of
to break a
passage.
finger or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's a reason it is banned,
Yikes.
but it's very fun.
Side tournament, Evo.
Oh, I would love that, but
bring
getting the cabinet there would be a hassle.
I seem to remember having a very bad time as a kid with one of those video arm wrestling machines.
Oh
You
yeah.
guys ever mess
I
with
was
one of those?
Afraid of
Those
those
things
things.
are fucking savage.
I thought it was gonna break my arm.
Exactly. I thought it was like, this is gonna wrench my arm off.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to arm wrestle a robot. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it pretty much
Stupid.
did. Let's see. Joseph from Michigan. I've been thinking about how Kingdom Hearts 3 is the MGS4 of this generation.
Oh sure.
Both are the culmination of the series up to this point. They will debatably have the best gameplay feel while simultaneously having a lot of cutscenes, and they have fan bases who vehemently defend the series from those that disparage it. Which brings me to my question. With the latest drama about how much one should know before reviewing Kingdom Hearts 3, how did fans feel a decade ago about those who reviewed MGS4? Did they get too angry if someone went into it with lesser or even no knowledge of the previous games? Or were outlets small enough back then to have a dedicated Metal Gear guy? My favorite
Sits
part
right next to the football guy.
My favorite part of these podcasts are the history lessons about the game review industry, so I'd love to learn more.
I don't remember anyone. Yeah, I don't remember that ever coming up.
Yeah, not so
I
much.
feel like there was less outrage just overall back then, or it was
Well,
harder
yeah, well,
to
yes,
convey
harder to
outrage.
Yeah,
I think I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
MGS
I can tell you, there's plenty.
Sure.
There was plenty then,
but it came
just
in different forms.
very different forms.
It was much more limited in scope. I'm
You
pretty
didn't
sure.
keep the outrage in your pocket at all times then.
I mean, we didn't even have iPhones when that thing came out. I'm pretty sure MGS4 was my first review for this website. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
So then we would have gotten our first iPhones like a month after that,
Right.
if you remember.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
I don't know. I feel like wasn't MGS just ubiquitous enough that like it was almost guaranteed anybody reviewing 4 was going to be pretty up on
You
it.
probably would have had someone who played the previous games.
Yeah.
You probably would have had that person, so it might not have come up. But
Oh.
I also think it's like it's totally valid, and I think it's only more valid now because I think reviews used to be viewed very differently then, or even before then. Like because I feel like we were running this site by then, so we already kind of had a different view of things. But there's nothing wrong with having someone review Kingdom Hearts 3 if they haven't played any other game in the franchise. They should just say that up front.
Yeah.
And if
That
people
is a valid frame for a review.
if people are looking for a review from someone who's played other Kingdom Hearts games, they should seek that review out. They shouldn't go
Or
shit
those
on the
reviews.
review of the person who reviewed it, as long as they're being upfront about their experience with the franchise.
Like in actual fact, practically every other review that exists is going to be that review that from somebody who's played all of them. Like the majority of the reviews are going to exist in that context. So like if anything, it's actually cool to have a review that comes at it from the other end.
Right, because what if this is a game that everyone could get something from?
Right.
Yeah.
And all your reviews are written by Kingdom Hearts people, and so that perspective never gets out there, and you're not serving a probably pretty large segment of the overall gaming audience that's kind of wonder like, hey, there's a lot of hype about this Kingdom Hearts. Should I care? And that's a harder question to answer.
Yeah.
Unless you have someone who hasn't played any of those games review them. Like, it's totally valid. I think the only people that get outraged and mad at that shit are the type of garbage people that care about a Metascore.
Yeah.
And want to like go argue on a message board about fucking reviews. Because they're the ones that are like, oh, you're dragging down the Metacritic average. It's like, fuck off. Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares?
Not our problem.
Yeah. Not at all a concern. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be fine to read reviews from someone who has never touched a Kingdom Hearts game. That's a valid
value.
That's a valid perspective. There's just like I said, there's a segment of the gaming audience that is that exact person. So you'd be serving that audience with that review.
Totally. Joe from New York. It's been a few years since the vinyl music format has once again caught listeners' attention, and more collectors and enthusiasts are buying vinyl for their favorite albums, myself included. The question I have for you guys is whether you already own a vinyl collection from the olden days, or did you give them all away when newer formats began to take over? If not, will any of you ever be interested in starting a vinyl collection of your favorite music? What are your general thoughts on the format?
Out with the old, man.
It's a fucking hassle.
Yeah.
But if you like artwork of albums, it's a good way to get big versions of that.
That might actually be the best thing about it is just the cool big ass album covers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I had a handful of records in like '89. Like I kind of stole my parents' stereo system and put it in my bedroom, and it had a record player. And so this was kind of just before CD players were affordable, I guess, or on the cusp of them becoming affordable. So like I bought probably 10, 15 records, something like that, like Appetite for Destruction, Straight Outta Compton, stuff around that era.
Mm-hmm.
I bought some vinyl, and I think I might still have some of it somewhere. Bought some 45s.
I was drawn to it as a kid, because that's where certainly prominent at the time, but I was seeking out vinyl for some reason. I don't know if it was just because of the artwork or whatever, but I think, maybe the liner notes on the inside.
Yeah, and that stuff got super cheap.
Yeah.
And now it's definitely not.
Yeah.
Again. But I don't know. We have a record player in the house now because my wife had some records, and so we got a way to play them. But it's not a particularly great way to play them. It's got a built-in speaker, so it's not even like,
wow. Was it an old one?
No, it's newer.
Okay.
It was like just a new cheap little turntable.
Does it have USB?
It does not.
Oh man.
I know plenty of them do.
I had a USB turntable that I left at GameSpot. I forgot it when I left the company and never went back to get it.
Yeah, capture all those vinyl, get all those vinyl flak rips.
That's right.
My mom has a huge record collection. She worked for a concert promoter here in the city, Bill Graham. And so by virtue of that, she just accumulated a fairly large collection. And, she's a music fan.
Yeah.
But the coolest part was she got a lot of weird, here's this band's just like weird, like demo things. There's a lot of, very smaller stuff. So that's
super
That's
cool.
the cool stuff to me is like those smaller. So I would just go home after school and put on random records and find stuff by bands that I can't remember the name because they didn't do anything else, or like weird stuff like Leonard Nimoy's album and stuff like that.
Yeah,
tell me about Bilbo Baggins.
My parents had some records, but our house flooded and it all got lost.
Yeah, so we had a little mini collection that I was inspired by at our old place, and then after the fire, they all got warped.
Yeah, stuff like that, and just the space that it takes up. I'm digital everything at this point.
I had a relative that had converted his entire bedroom into just all records, basically, and there's barely room for a bed. It's a bad situation.
That's not great.
And all those records are gone now. They all got destroyed as everything deteriorated around there. But it's a lot.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of video games, but
Okay, you're into audio.
Sure.
Maybe you can answer this question.
Okay.
Like the whole point of vinyl supposedly being better is that like the analog,
it's warmer, man.
Well, the warmer feel.
Right, but like a digital audio sample, it's chopping it up in tiny samples, and like you're theoretically losing part of the music, and it sounds cold. That's why it sounds colder, right? That's the whole idea. Here's my question though: if the music is recorded and or mastered digitally, aren't you getting a digital output out of an analog thing anyway?
Yes.
So, basically,
the idea of modern records coming out on vinyl is
specifically electronic music. Like I see like game soundtracks and stuff coming out on vinyl, and I'm just like, this was not performed in a room by real instruments.
I think it's super dumb.
Like you're kind of not getting the benefit of the analog recording method anyway.
If you master it for vinyl in just the right way, you could
probably get close,
warm it up
whatever.
a little bit, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah. That's the mastering process is lost on me.
Nothing against people who want to own stuff on vinyl.
Yeah, but actually, I think that shit is super stupid.
But I always thought like the genesis of the kind of renaissance of vinyl seemed to be like, oh, it sounds better. People think it's more complete
Yeah.
a more complete representation of the thing that was recorded. But
I think the only ways I bought vinyl recently that felt like okay was like I think I bought like it was that last Daft Punk record and like the last Beastie Boys album. I got those and they came with like codes for downloads.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm never gonna listen to this record. It's just I like the cool
it's a nice
I like
art
cool
piece,
art.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna download
Sure.
the other stuff and never put this record on because who cares?
Same.
Yeah. But though that last Daft Punk album was, I think, very analog in a lot of ways. So that probably.
I just figured, at some point if it's getting spit out of a computer, you're chopping it up into digital samples anyway, so you're kind of
Yeah, probably.
whatever. Brad from Minneapolis. What video game has made you the most angry? For me, it has to be Donkey Kong Country 2. I was so infuriated by the difficulty that I punched a hole in the wall when I was 8 years old.
I almost did the same thing. I got sent to bed early because I was cussing at Donkey Kong Country 2.
Okay. All right.
Usually the ones that I care about the most. I'm sure Street Fighter 4 is maybe
Yeah.
the most angry.
Even over
various
Dota
reasons.
for me, Street Fighter.
There are versions of Pitfall 2 that have a second quest in them that's way more esoteric. Pitfall 2 is like an open world game. And then there was a version that had a whole second quest to it that was even more esoteric and fucking weird. And you had to go find a magic lasso and a basket and a horn player and a horn and and find all this shit and get to the end and assemble it all. And it was just this fucking huge maze of bullshit. And I remember I got so fucking pissed at that thing that I pulled on the joystick, yanked the Atari off the edge of the top of the TV. It fell, powered off, lost all my progress.
Nice.
And
Paid for
it
that.
was fucking
Yikes.
it's the worst.
Anything break?
No, just my spirit. But I eventually turned it all back on and finished it.
You guys broken controllers or anything, or
Not deliberately.
not deliberately?
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but the last fight of Prototype, back when we were trying to still review games like on a timely basis, like it was like, oh, the game's coming out, we need to get the review up. Like,
Right.
could not fucking beat that last boss fight to save my life, and it was a piece of shit. And I threw the controller, and it fucked up my controller, and I'm really mad at myself.
You get heated sometimes.
Yeah.
It's rare. But when it
The
happens,
the
holy
worst
shit.
the worst one for me is losing at real time strategy games like StarCraft 2, Clash Royale, like any variety of strategy game where you can see your loss before it happens.
Sure.
And then that fucking wave of units just like washes over you.
Oh,
Like it's just the worst feeling of helplessness.
yeah.
Jan, you ever get really mad at a video game?
Clash Royale. It just
Yeah,
dawned on me. It's
you know-
like,
you know
oh,
that
God.
feeling?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Make
Well,
one misclick.
yeah.
And it's like, I thought I had this much elixir, and then
Yeah. I this is a weird feeling. I've played enough of that game now where I can tell exactly the second that I make the mistake that is going to lose me the match, even though if it's like 2 minutes before it happens, I can tell like, oh, that was 3 wasted elixir I could not afford to lose right there. Like I'm done.
So it's not like so much the game that you're mad at yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I-
like being able to
I get the
recognize your
same
mistakes
feeling.
now.
Yep.
is-
but then
yeah.
when the other person is spamming emotes of like a laughing king, that just
Do you still play actively?
yes.
Do you mute the emotes?
Oh, all the time.
Like they
First
did
thing I
the
do.
thing that I complained about that game not having from the beginning, which was allow you to permanently mute the emotes, and I never mute them. I don't know why. I think I have a need to know if they're taunting me. Like I would wonder
Yep.
all the time
Is this person shitty?
if they were muted, if they were like laughing at me from behind the mute. And I didn't know about
when
it.
you wind up coming back and steamrolling them,
Yeah.
do you spam the emotes?
Sometimes.
Okay.
You gotta give him one, just one
Just
right
one?
at the end.
Yeah.
Like
You can't
I
help
see
it.
you.
Can't help it afterwards.
So that's why you don't mute them. Is because you're garbage. Also, that's what I'm hearing.
not
That's
making-
I don't.
Not make any claims either
Okay.
way.
I love a good BM.
Sometimes they have it coming. You can lean into it in a way that just makes it so absurd that it's not BM anymore. Like if you're just like spamming every one of them. But mostly reserved for people who like people will taunt you mid match when they think they're up, and then you.
Dota added an ability to tip with battle points, which is like the battle pass currency. And then you saw in pro games they started to adopt VP most famously does it where they will like orchestrate a gank on the mid player and then they'll all tip them. And it shows up like in game, everyone sees it, the observer, the other player sees it. It's just like this little like, hey, here's a little something for your trouble.
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
That's garbage.
Yeah.
Neil from Boston. Seeing Jeff get that Garfield phone on the most recent mailbag reminded me of an incident from my childhood because my sister had the same phone. When we were young, I guess she was around 11. One of her friends was over and wanted to test if the phone was real, so she did what any sane person would do and dialed 911.
Of course.
Yeah.
Later, police arrived at the house to investigate, and my parents spoke with them, but they figured out what had happened pretty quickly.
Just testing the Garfield phone.
Yeah.
You know.
This leads me to ask...
Another code blue.
The cop showed up and said, "Hey, your Garfield phone works. Thanks for calling."
Code orange. This leads me to ask if any of you have any interesting stories with phones, whether they be prank calls, accidents, or something more diabolical.
I feel like I've told the limited number of like fucking freaking stories.
Yeah. I never did any of that stuff,
already,
but I'm
but-
fascinated by it
Yeah.
because it kind of feels like magic
Yeah.
that you can play
Little
weird
bit.
tones into a phone and make it
Little
do
bit.
things.
Yeah. And I think by the time I got to the point where I was out and about on my own, like that stuff had all been shut down on consumer lines. So really all that was left was to get free calls on payphones. So, or use alligator clips and stand outside and clip onto someone's lines with a lineman's handset, or with a phone you put together with alligator clips on the end of it. And then clip onto people's lines and use their line to make calls and stuff like that.
Weird.
Stealing phone service.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Through the phone cord? Like through like it worked through the insulation, or are you poking through to the wire?
You're cracking open the phone
Okay,
can in front of
okay.
their apartment complex, and then it's just
wiring
a fucking
in.
bunch of
There's a-
wires, and then
okay.
just taking your
So
alligator
there's
clips
like a-
and
okay.
clipping onto
So there's a
it,
bare
and-
interface in there.
Yeah.
I see.
and then you're in, as they say.
Man.
In elementary school, I was at a sleepover in my best friend's house, and we were playing some game. I'm trying for the life of me to remember what game was on the Super Nintendo, and we got stuck. So we did what anyone would do. We called the Nintendo hotline,
As you do.
and we spent a good half hour on there talking with them. And then we got past the part, and we got stuck again. Called them back, et cetera,
Oh,
so on and so
no.
forth. Made probably, let's say 10 to 12 calls to the Nintendo hotline. And we just thought it was this really cool service that you could call and just
Seriously?
talk to
Like
them.
that?
It was our
okay.
first time using
right.
it. We were, 7. That ran up about, I think, $450 on the bill.
Oh boy.
Uh,
Wow.
Because 3 weeks later, my friend's mom called my mom and was like, "Hey, did you know they were doing this?" She was really cool about it. She covered it and didn't want me to pay or anything, but she's just like, she called my mom as more of a warning of don't let him do this, because they could apparently do this.
Wow.
Wow. That is
So
intense.
the fucked up thing though is that for several years at the start of the release of the NES, it was a free call.
Really?
Yeah. So
Really?
you used to be able to just call them for free and get those tips. And then at some point it transitioned over to a 900 number, and I never called it, but I used to call it all the time when it was just a toll-free call. I believe I called them up at one point to tell them, "Hey, did you know if you type Zelda in the name field, it goes to second quest?" Just wanted to let someone know over there.
Just wanted to make sure you
Yeah.
guys.
I don't know if you know. Just
I don't know
put
if
it-
you know,
just-
if
just
you're
put it in
hiring
there.
or
It's pretty
anything.
cool.
I actually know a few
It's
cool
like, hey, is
tips
a cool thing
and tricks.
that I know over here.
I definitely wrote about, we had to do an essay about what is your dream job in 6th grade or something. I definitely wrote that I want to be a Nintendo help caller.
Play video games all day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get a big
And
binder
people.
full of codes.
I would know all the cheats and codes and tricks, and I'll know how to make Mario get a star.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
It's A plus. All right, you got it.
Yeah.
The fucked up thing
Kids
about
going places.
calling that hotline, and maybe they changed this once it became a 900 number, but you would call them and they would not just straight up tell you.
Oh, no.
Okay, they would just
give you hints
They
or
would give you
whatever?
hints about it, but they wouldn't just say
We-
do this, do this, do
we
this. It was
eventually would egg them
well,
on.
have you tried this?
Yeah.
And
That's shitty.
yeah.
That is super shitty.
Nick from Nottingham in the UK. I was wondering if you've ever reached the point where you've had to go out of your way to block certain games from appearing on your timelines or feeds. I ask this because I have recently had to get browser extensions so I don't see anything related to Fortnite appearing in my Twitter and Facebook, as well as blocking all YouTube videos containing the game in the title. I don't hate the game or anything. I just got fed up with the oversaturation of videos, articles, and posts talking about it when I'm trying to browse all the latest news, and a solid 90% of it is related to the one game.
No, I think it, it behooves us to a certain extent to know what it's like out there, and
I can tell you what it's like.
Yeah.
As someone who goes through a lot of video game news every week. One of the sites I was looking at yesterday had 4 or maybe 5 different stories about Fortnite in succession.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Amazon Prime Day, because everywhere I fucking go, it's like stories written like, here are the hot deals. Here are the best deals.
But it was a bunch of
fucking CNN had like multiple positive stories about like, here's what's on sale this week.
Do you think they're all doing affiliate links with
they
those?
must be.
Probably.
Like,
even a CNN.
Just look at it and go like, is CNN getting fucking paid for this? Like, what the fuck? It was like prominent placement.
Yeah.
For like, you're the best deals. I,
mean,
like, I get the deals have value. Like, it's
all for search.
I'm sure it's huge traffic.
Like, I get it, and I think
there's terrible.
The internet is terrible, and I think there's totally a way to like provide like a good service for like, hey, here are some deals we found. I'm not opposed to that in the gaming space or anything, but Jesus, this particular moment. It just felt like they had bought ad space, and all of them went up as news stories across multiple gaming and non-gaming sites. It was fucking bizarre.
It's called integrated ads, Jeff. It's not advertising as you know it. It's way cooler.
You're right. It is way cooler. I'm sorry.
Like that was the shitty consequence of ad blocking, right? Is that the ads just merged with the thing you actually want to see?
Sure. Yeah.
And they're gonna be in your brain, man, while you sleep, man.
Blipverts. Anyway, yeah, there were a lot of stories about the Fortnite out there. You're right.
You know those news stories? It's like, we figured out a way to make like a prisoner live 100-year sentence in a minute, and like that's the dystopian future of prisons, is how they're gonna like
mind prisons.
What if they did that with ads?
What if they did that with Fortnite?
Oh yeah.
What if they did with the ads is those are blipverts. That's the first episode of the Max Headroom TV show. Is they come up with a form of advertising that blasts the full ad to you in a second, but portly people blow up when they see the ads, and the network's trying to keep it a secret, and Max Headroom has to discover the truth.
Was Max Headroom actually good, or was it cool?
Yes, it was both.
Okay,
yeah,
because like it was very cool, and I liked the idea of it a lot, but. Like, I've never heard anyone speak of the actual content of the show.
Well, the show is a weird thing, because, like, if you're talking about Max Headroom, the fucking Coke or Pepsi spokesman, that's less cool.
Yeah.
The TV show being, like, dystopian, cyberpunk fucking future thing where a reporter gets fucking zapped into a computer and Max Headroom is born, but the reporter is still on the outside and they work together to uncover the fucking truth is a cool fucking show.
I gotta watch this.
It's a cool fucking show.
Yeah. I know I watched it like when it was on.
Yeah.
I remember very, very little.
It's only slightly less cool now, but still cool.
Yeah.
And they made Max Headroom like a talk show host. Like he hosted a show on Cinemax and interviewed guests and stuff. Yeah. And I never saw that.
Like
and
Space Ghost.
I don't know. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And I don't know if that's available anywhere, if it's just kind of lost its time. I would like to see that someday, but I don't know.
You guys ever read the Stephen King short story, The Jaunt?
No.
Which one's that?
It's hard to tell you without just sort of
telling you. Washing machines come to life?
No, but just
no.
In terms of the whole perception thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The mind prison type stuff. It's very good. You should read that.
I like the one where washing machines come alive.
I like the one about the trucks.
I need to rewatch.
That story is called Trucks. It is in the book. It's
from the creative genius.
That's from the mind behind that short story is literally called Trucks. His short story stuff is way
is
better,
it like
way better than his
properly?
novels.
Is like TRUXXX?
No, it's just
okay.
Trucks.
I'm working on something called Trucks with 3 X's, and I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be free and clear.
No, you're good.
Good.
Is it related to BMX Triple X at all?
No. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, yes. Spiritually, absolutely. I think we're coming from a similar place of jokes about hot nuts.
Malcolm from Melbourne, Australia. After watching The Danger Zone 2 quick look and being underwhelmed by the physics and overall look in comparison to the awesome Wreckfest, could Bugbear build on this platform and fulfill the void of a new style burnout game that we all want?
And they could. Like, because if you think about it, Bugbear did that cool physics demo for Wreckfest, like when it was still in development. And there's a bunch of weird shit in there. Like,
I guess the bigger question is, like, does the racing part of that game hold up in a way that...
Of Wreckfest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is it a good driving game? Is it?
Yeah, it feels good.
It's more than just the weird destruction.
There's a lot of inertia to it. Like, it's not a high speed. Like, I think if you're trying to take that game and turn it into a crash mode type thing, I would probably make the cars just rocket off the line faster and feel slightly lighter so that you have a little bit more maneuverability. Like, all the cars feel like boats, because you're just like, totally. It's Demolition Derby. It's meant to be.
But, I mean, those are all just sort of values you can tweak when you design the game. But,
it's all just move the slider, hit ship. That's how games are made.
You know what I mean? Like, they can make the cars handle differently.
Right.
But the physics, like a Burnout style game with that kind of physics model sounds fucking awesome.
Those cars would smash up amazingly.
Like
those cars do smash up amazingly.
That sounds super great. They should make that game.
I feel like Flat Out had some stuff like that, which is a game that didn't Flat Out have some events of like, because it's like some of the same stuff of like your body flies out of the front of the windshield and crashes into a thing, and like some of that.
Didn't
stuff.
They have like the bowling thing where you you wreck the car to send the driver flying through the windshield into some pins or whatever? Yeah.
I had a pretty amazing onrush moment. I posted a video actually of me jumping in the air and just like smacking this motorcycle, midair collision. He ragdolled, and I swear to God, he ragdolled and fell right on the hood of my car.
Nice.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
That game is pretty good.
It's a good game.
Yeah. A couple more emails. Mags from Massachusetts. I was watching a video on the history of legal PlayStation 1 emulators where the narrator recounted an occurrence at E3 1999 where the company Bleem was showing off their newly released PS1 emulator.
There's two ways this email can go.
According to the video, Sony execs who had just sued the company came over to the booth, and employees from both companies got into a shouting match, ending with Bleem being asked to remove their monitors from the show floor. Was wondering if any of you had heard about this incident. Looking back on it today, it's wild to hear about a major console emulator not only being available for sale, but having a presence at what I consider to be a AAA developer-like event such as E3. Also, did you ever try out the Bleem or virtual game system when they were around?
I mean, E3 has, a lot of prestige. I mean, now they got 5 Hour Energy. They got all the good exhibitors.
They got all the headphones you can think of.
This is a good question for Alex Navarro, who worked at the Bleem booth at E3 once.
Did he really? Oh, wow. Did he really?
Yeah.
Were they only at the one E3?
That's probably just that one, if I had to guess. I think they went to multiple trade shows, actually. I'm trying to think, because Glenn Rubenstein worked with Bleem for a while.
I was at that E3, but I don't remember hearing this specific thing.
I remember hearing that about this shouting about Sony coming over and trying to get them shut down.
Okay. I remember when it got pulled from the show.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the word going around, like, they had to shut down their booth.
Yeah.
Like, they can't show that
Sony
thing
went
here.
to the ESA and said, get these fuckers out of here.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it devolved into this kind of like tense standoff.
The shouting match. I guess I don't know the specifics of that, but yes, I remember hearing that it was a tense thing over whether Bleem could show that thing at the show or not.
Yeah, I mean, they were still selling PlayStations, right?
Yeah, no, this was like 4
to 5 years after the PlayStation came out.
Something like probably something like that.
Well, if that was 99, the PS2 hadn't even shipped yet. So it was still literally their current console.
Right. I mean, the Bleem stuff ended up existing in multiple formats because there was Bleem, just the emulator for PC, and then they did those Bleemcast discs that would let you play like Metal Gear on a Dreamcast. Which seemed shady in a weird way about like making them game specific. Yeah. Like I never much cared for it, but I guess whatever.
Did it work well though?
I think so.
I don't remember if I ever tried it.
It was okay.
Like the games were playable?
Yeah. Yeah, you could play Metal Gear on a Dreamcast.
Yeah. I don't know what the virtual game system is.
That was a Mac-only PlayStation emulator.
Okay.
That I want to say like Apple showed off at an event because they were developing Connectix was the name of the company.
Okay.
I think that made that, and Apple was like showing it at their events and stuff like that for a brief period of time, and they made kind of a big deal about it. And that was the one that went to court and was ruled illegal.
Okay.
Because they hadn't used they had built their own BIOS replacement. Okay. It didn't require a dump of the PS1 BIOS to run, and so it was all their own code. They had like clean roomed it or whatever you had to do to meet the legal standard. They had done it, and
they ran a clean team.
Yeah, and they were able to continue to sell the virtual game station after the lawsuit.
Weird.
I remember that stuff. Not. Yeah, I don't know. Like that. I'd have to go back and look. There's got to be some good footage of it out there these days, but
just the altercation or the
or
tension.
Of how well it actually runs.
Oh, you mean the actual product?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I'm trying to think it through and going like, that seems like it should have been a bigger deal than it was.
Yeah.
But I remember it seeing and going, oh, I guess that works. Like, I don't necessarily want to do it, but you can do it. I remember having a Bleem disc for PC and it being spotty about what it would work with.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they eventually went in the direction of the game-specific discs for the Dreamcast stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite of those weird experiments from that era was the 3DO Blaster.
Yep.
Because the name is so stupid. I'd never seen one in person or used one.
It was fucking terrible.
I just think the idea that, because, for people who don't know, that was Creative Labs who put out the Sound Blaster, and then you bought a 3DO Blaster.
So the 3DO
to
Blaster.
play 3DO games on your PC.
I saw, fuck, man. Okay. So the magazine I worked for, Blaster, that made it all 3 issues, was funded by Sim Wong Hu, who was the CEO of Creative Labs at the time, and the magazine was to be packed in with Creative Labs sound cards.
Okay.
And also was supposed to be on newsstands. I don't think I ever actually saw it on a newsstand, but there you have it. So it was a sister publication. It was a startup publication. There was another publication in the same building. We had an office in Berkeley, and that magazine was called Morph's Outpost on the Digital Frontier. And it was for developers. That's all I knew. It was for developers. They just called it Morph's Outpost or just Morph's.
Yeah.
Maybe actually they had a comic strip with Morph the character, and maybe the comic strip was Morph's Outpost on the Digital Frontier. Anyway, it was for developers, whatever that meant at the time. I was not smart enough I was too 19 to understand what the fuck that even meant. But it was like, it was like, hey, here's how we use tools to build websites and applications and whatnot. It was a variety of programming tricks and all this other stuff. They had their own, they were trying to start a trade show, and they ran it at Fort Mason here in San Francisco. And I remember they had 2 of them. The one that I went to, because that was when the magazine I was working for still existed. Man, what the fuck did they call that thing? It had a terrible name, like the trade show was. But anyway, long story short, that's where I saw a 3DO Blaster.
Okay.
Because they had one set up on like a 486 or some kind of Pentium probably at that point. And it was like, hey, do you want to play? Like, keep in mind, we're talking the resolution of the early to mid 90s. So 800 by 600 was like a big deal
at best. Yeah.
And it was like, hey, do you want to play a 3DO game on this already low resolution Windows PC? But then on top of that, it ran in the tiniest fucking window imaginable. And it was like, hey, do you want to play Twisted the Game Show in a super tiny window where you can't really read anything? You can. The 3DO Blaster makes it possible. And they put all the 3DO hardware on the card itself.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a 3DO
it
on
wasn't
an expansion
emulating
card.
it on the PC. It was just like, here's all the 3DO shit you need.
Yeah.
And it made it work. And I remember seeing it going, this is like, okay, great. Here's another way to play these garbage-ass video games because we already know the 3DO is shit.
Oh my God, that thing is huge.
Yeah, and it was a gigantic card because all the cards were gigantic then.
Because it's a whole console.
Yeah.
It's a whole game console on a card.
It was cool, though. I mean, I got a bunch of free Creative Labs shit for working for a magazine that was, funded by them at the time. Like, I got an AW64, and I couldn't make it work.
That's a good pull.
But it didn't matter because it was free. I got a CD-ROM drive. I couldn't get the IRQ settings right because they sent a CD-ROM drive and a sound card, and I was like, okay, let's put it all in.
I'd go with 7.
I was trying to go with 7, but it was like the wavetable synthesis of the AW30. I guess it was actually the AW32 at the time.
Yeah.
The wavetable synthesis of the AW32 was very complicated indeed. So I couldn't actually, despite it appearing I had all the IRQs free.
It's got to load the sound driver into high memory.
Yeah, that's probably what I was doing wrong.
That'll do it. Jason from Toronto is the last email.
There was also a terrible rave at that thing.
Nice.
Of course.
That's good. Very
it was like
late 90s.
Yeah. It was like, this magazine's run out of Berkeley. It was 94.
Of course, it's a
and
rave.
of course they're going to have a rave.
Yeah.
And it was like, I need to not be here.
Blaster is not the worst name for a magazine.
It was originally Blast, which was better. We had the logo. We had all these stickers. I still have rolls and rolls of stickers that just say Blast that we weren't able to
That's
use.
your website? Blast.er.
Yeah. And that was a better name. I always thought that was a better name.
All right, Jason from Toronto.
Hi.
I'm just about to get a PS4 to add to my Xbox One, Switch, and gaming PC. To the best of my recollection, that makes this my first complete set of any console generation. My question is, what's the best complete set of all the generations?
16-bit.
That's
what I would go back to again and again and again and
like
again.
The TurboGrafx really drags that one down, but
It might. But there's plenty of stuff on
that's
the Super
true.
Nintendo.
Between the Super NES and the
Lots
Genesis,
of good options on the Genesis.
you might be right. That's definitely a contender.
I think a lot of this gets determined by how old a person is and what their coming of age generation was for consoles. That's my guess.
But there's also an objectively correct answer.
Also, you're right.
And then handhelds throw like this all into chaos.
Yeah. Well, let's say it's big
cross
systems only.
generations,
Because the handhelds don't really line up. Like those got kind of released whenever. They don't necessarily match up to the console generations. I think it's a toss up between the Super NES and the 360.
Yeah, my gut was 360 era.
Even though I don't care about the Wii at all, and the PS3 was kind of spotty outside of exclusives, but
Hell of exclusives though.
360 is one of the best consoles.
Yeah, at some point, this question is like, hey, what's the best console?
And then work backwards.
And then work from around that. And those, I think, are two strong answers.
Those are the big two for me, at least. All right, it's decided then.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Sega CD.
Write it down.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
I mean, if we're talking all the bolt-on shit.
I got to bring mine in. We got to play some stuff.
Bring in a 32X.
No.
I got it all stacked up. It's all.
I want to see that in person.
We should check that.
It's very bulky.
Yeah. I've never seen the 32X, I don't think.
It's like a little bulb sticking out of the top of a Genesis. And you're like, why? And you're like, so I can play a better Doom. And you're like, all right, I guess.
That's a valid reason.
Wars,
yeah.
It's like a 4X, but 8 times as good.
Right.
They were just throwing a lot of stuff at the wall.
Yeah.
At that time. Let's see what worked out.
32X stuck.
Oh, yeah.
It was gross.
It's a real game changer.
Yeah.
Plunk right into the wall.
Yep. All right, that's it for emails. Bombcast at giantbomb.com. Thanks to everybody who wrote in.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
We got stuff going on this week.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yep.
All the time.
Probably not going to say what any of it is right now,
Nope.
just in case.
We're recording
I like the jinx stuff.
a very pivotal episode of All Systems Goku this week.
Oh.
From the sounds of things.
Yeah.
This is going to be the conclusion of the Cell games. That'll go up on, I guess it'll go up on Monday, but we're recording it this week.
Okay.
I'm very excited to watch the rest of those episodes.
Yeah.
Ben, are we doing that thing?
I don't know.
You should do that thing.
We should probably do that.
You should do that thing.
We have to.
Yeah.
Or
You got to do it.
We got to do
Ben, are we doing that other thing?
Oh, definitely not.
Oh, no, not that
I
one.
got to check my schedule.
Okay.
I'm busy.
All right.
It's
Busy doing
says-
that
it says
other
busy.
thing, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh,
You ready to
no, I
party?
can't. I got a thing on here.
okay.
It says it right there.
Reasonable.
It's under the sleeve.
All righty then. After show coming up next.
Yeah.
All right. Stick around if you're live for the after show. If you're not, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.